does finally. Dayne Warren gives him no space. He's in the wall. He's in the wall. Turn 4, and he's taking out Bruce Dean as well. Oh, big moment there. Kurt Stenberg on his roof.
Big crash in turn 4. That is an unfortunate huge crash. A late move, final corner, that's the death!
A very good evening to you wherever you're watching around the country or indeed the world, and welcome to the second round of the 2022 Automobilista Supercars Championship. My name is Stairs and it is my absolute pleasure to welcome Madbird to the box.
Thank you very much, Stairs. We are here in Tassie at the Symmons Plains Raceway, this tiny little 2.5 kilometre bullring that we all know and love, and it's always some exciting racing around here. I'm very keen. It's been a while, but I'm very excited to be back in Launceston. I think that's how it's pronounced, in Tasmania. Lonnie?
Yeah,
Lonnie?
as the locals call it.
Is that what the locals call it?
Oh, I believe that is what the locals call it.
Lonnie.
Beautiful part of the world. There's Cataract Gorge nearby, and there's also the Symmons Plains Raceway. What's funny about Cataract Gorge?
Is that an actual place? Cataract?
Absolutely it is. It's a gorgeous location.
It sounds like something that you wouldn't be able to see very well on account of your cataracts.
Well, if you had cataracts, you would be spewing, because it is pretty nice to
Imagine
look at.
going to Cataract Gorge with cataracts and being unable to see cataracts.
Just no good. Just no good.
We should get off this.
This subject.
So,
welcome to practice. We've got just 10 minutes before qualifying for the first race begins. 10-minute qualifying sessions for both races tonight, and the race format that we have got for this two-race night is a 44-lapper for race 1 with 2 compulsory pit stops, Madbird, and then for the second race, a shorter 22-lap race with 1 compulsory pit stop.
I tell you what, those are going to go like they're going to be here and gone in a flash, because
gone in a flash.
Gone in a flash, because a lap around here is 50 seconds on the outside, probably less than that, as you can see Benjamin Dahlia on our screens.
Looping it.
And doing some nice moonwalking towards the barriers, but then returning to his garage. As you can see, Dayne Warren there with the fastest time in practice, a 50.8, and that's only going to get lower. So you're looking under a minute for each lap around here.
Here is Dayne Warren, and you can see the orange number 57 on his windscreen. He is the championship leader after winning both of the races in the opening round at Sydney Motorsport Park as he heads back to the pits, Madbird.
In dominant fashion, it must be said, especially in the first race. Didn't have it all his way to begin with, but then once he gets a bit of a break, he sort of shoots off into the distance. But he was given a bit of a run by Luke Rosella and Thomas McMillan, who were both up at the front as well, along with Kurt Stenberg, our reigning defending champion from the previous season, trying to shake the mojo of the number 1. And must be said, he did a lot better last round than he did the first round he ran the number 1 in back in 2020 or 2020. Yes, no, 2020.
2020, yes, he won. You're talking about Kurt Stenberg.
Correct.
Winning the inaugural championship in 2019. And it was Dayne Warren in 2020 who was basically doing a tour of all the circuits and setting all of the all of the fastest laps that are still held by Dayne Warren.
He wanted to get the Automobilista Supercars Championship 100% completion bonus.
Yeah, pretty much is there.
Which is unlocking a tank on underneath the bridge near Grove Street. And then that's a little San Andreas reference.
Yeah, most of the people watching probably
never
before
played
their time. So it's about time Rockstar made a remake of San Andreas.
They're talking about it.
I'd very much, well, I'd say I'd very much look forward to it, but I haven't played a video game in 5 years. Such is the oldness of me.
Oh, I mean, I think it's more the lack of time of you.
Well, that is why old people don't play games, because they don't have any time.
Well, I'm old. I still play games.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I'm just bad at time management in that
I
case.
think you're a lot busier than I am. Recently sunk 70 hours into Red Dead Redemption 2.
I sucked 70 hours into last week's work week.
Bugger that. I'm
tired.
good, thanks.
Now, we haven't been able to show you Dayne Warren. He's currently second in the championship. Just a bit of a rundown on the championship standings. He came second in both races last week and sits second in the championship on 326 points with Dayne on 350. Kurt Stenberg is in third on 308 points, finishing third in both races. Here is Kurt Stenberg, by the way.
Very consistent top three.
Running that number one.
For the Sydney races.
Yeah, very, very consistent. Position swapped around a little bit beyond that with Colin Warwick in fourth place on 272 points, just 9 points ahead of Zach Baker for ZB Racing. Some names that we're very familiar with over the last few years in the Automobilista Supercars Championship. Then we had Hans Brunswick in sixth, so he'd be pretty happy with that, representing the Australasian sim racing cohort as the, well, I'd say the highest placed driver from ASR, but Kurt Stenberg and Colin Warwick do quite a few races over that side of the fence as well. So, but Hans Brunswick sort of starting over there and coming over here. Jared Filsell in seventh place, highest driver for, well, he's representing Synergy Sim Racing, although he was driving the Brody Kostecki car last week. Thomas McMillan, good to see him make his return last week. I say last week, it was 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago, in fact. The time has flown.
Oh my goodness.
Sean Allen making a bit of a return too, and Benjamin Dahlia rounded out the top 10 Mad Bird.
Yeah, it was a pretty competitive, sort of refreshingly so competitive top pack. A lot of people have stepped up their pace over the last year. I think we discussed a little bit with Dayne that he wasn't, I mean, he still won in fairly dominant style, but it wasn't like in 2020 where it was basically him and Kurt Stenberg and then a huge Golf and then the rest of the pack. Everyone has closed up a lot more over the couple of years. So
yeah, well, we mentioned to him that he had the fastest lap in last round, but it was nowhere near his record set back in 2020. So that just goes to show how much pace that Dayne Warren had in 2020, that even Dayne Warren in 2022 was surprised at the speed that Dayne Warren in 2020 had. And so speaking of, Dayne Warren does hold the race lap record and qualifying record for this circuit, which was set in 2020, of course. And so for the race lap record, that was a 51.028. The qualifying record, a 50.815. So that's the fastest lap that we've ever seen in ASR at this racetrack. And Dayne Warren is very, very close to that. He's currently on a 50.844 for practice.
yeah, so he's they say the best competition you can have is with yourself, and Dayne Warren is in constant competition with himself to push that bar lower. We've just got Mr. Walshy73 in the chat. Hello, boys. Best track this side of the black stump and better than Jeddah.
Better than Jeddah.
Well, there's
I'm
no
very
missile strikes in
conflicted about.
Tasmania.
Yeah, I'm a bit conflicted about Jeddah because it seems like it's probably a little bit too dangerous. It's also held in a country where there's a lot of questions being raised about whether they should be there or not, especially with missiles going off 12 miles from the circuit.
Money's
No,
very...
oh, David Nenadic in the fence and back to the
through the
pits
fence.
and back onto the track into the gravel.
Yeah, but you know, money talks, and I rather enjoyed the Formula One presidents. I don't think it was the president. Who was it? The guy that used to run Ferrari, who's now
Stefano Domenicali.
yeah, just talking about, as we see a replay of that incident from David Nenadic. So just losing it at the last corner.
We've also got Corey McFarlane stranded
Oh.
at the hairpin for whatever reason. I don't know exactly why that is.
He's off to the microwave to cook up his master foods.
Or someone else has gone sailing wide. It was one of the... I've forgotten the name of the team because they replaced Race on Oz.
AAWG.
That's right.
Who we're still not entirely sure what that stands for. So
Here's what happened to Corey McFarlane, and yeah, he just outbroke himself by the looks of it.
it is incredibly easy to do. We've seen that uncounted amount of times as we see someone else do it.
That's in the replay, so that wasn't the AWG car. Or maybe more than one car went off there, I'm not sure. He spent quite a long time, it seems, trying to find a gear.
And any second now. Oop.
AOC car. It was definitely one of those AWG cars. So anyway, he got going in the end, and now he's in the pits.
That first hairpin, what is it? Turn 3, I think. Is the source of many lockups.
There's a lot of people pushing the limits right now. We just have seen Luke Rosella go back to the pits, so I'm not sure exactly why he was in the boonies, and we're about to see why.
Oh,
I think the server has perhaps had a bit of lag. No, Luke Rosella, who we were catching a replay of, has dropped out of the server.
He was just so upset with himself.
So because of that, we weren't able to catch exactly, but I think we were about to see what was happening. He was losing control of the car down at turn 1, I believe.
That is certainly how it appeared. Turn 1 being a sort of awkward corner, especially when you're racing with someone. It's a very, very fast little right kink into a hard brake left turn.
Here's Ethan Warren.
There is the other Warren. We said that we hadn't been able to see any running of him, so here he is.
10th and a half adrift of his brother Dayne, who has done quite a lot of laps in practice, it looks like. From what I can see, since the I'm trying to figure out if this is an American date, but since the 4th of the 1st or the 1st of the 4th, Dayne Warren has done 253 laps around this circuit.
How stupid is it that Americans put their dates the wrong way around? But continue.
It does mess us all up, even though we use the correct date format. That if we see someone else's date format, we're not actually sure.
Unless it's something over a number 12.
Well, I've just realised that it can't possibly be the 1st of the 4th, 2022, because we haven't had that yet.
Not in April. There we go. So,
a bit cosy down there with Ethan and Colin Warwick by the looks of it.
As we once again see many people going off deep at the hairpin.
Yeah. Oh, and there's the ever-present Cameron Parrott, Tim Horton's car. Great to see him back.
Well, of course we see him. He's ever present, as we've discussed.
Yes, and if he wasn't, then we wouldn't be able to say that. At least
true.
Not correctly, anywho. So a couple of comments coming through in the live chat. Roadies Racing, did you mean ASC?
I think that's when you were fumbling for AWG, and you said a few other acronyms that start with A.
Probably.
There's in the field, there are 2 teams that start with A and have 3 letters. So add ASC to the mix and AAR.
And Ryland Dixon outing Lachlan Horan to some degree, saying Lachlan Horan said that he could do better than Dayne Warren.
Well,
that's a big call.
That is a big call, especially considering he's not in the server. I have noticed we've got someone currently sitting in 3rd. Going by the handle, Thomas's mum is fit.
Oh, that's unusual.
Now, we're no stranger to some mum envy stares. For quite a long time, our server password for ARW was speaking of abbreviations that start with A and have 3 letters. Was the name of one of our friends' mums, who we thought was a lovely woman.
Thanks to the limitations of our on-screen graphics, we haven't been able to fit Thomas's mum's Fit's entire name.
Thomas's moo.
On the graphics, which I did widen this year to try and get everyone's name. I think Corey McFarlane had one of the longest names
and
in last year, and I've managed to make it fit. But there's always something.
Managed to make it fit.
There's always something to throw a little bit of a curveball in amongst it. So we haven't seen Thomas's mum is fit on track recently, but
I'm trying to figure out who
he or
that
she
could be.
Is it Thomas?
It could
be a strange thing for Thomas to cause his name, because there's a little bit of Oedipus complex in that. If it was,
I want to think about.
Is it Jared Philsell?
It could possibly be. Mr. Horan is the fastest driver ever, says Mighty Caprice, and Mr. Walshy73 saying Stifler's mum. Now, she was one hell of a woman.
I just remember her in Friends.
Friends.
Oh, bugger. I feel like such a total arse.
Well, here in America, you're just an ass. Can you believe I've had no formal training?
Anyone who's not seen what we are referring to, very confused, but... If
Google, what would you search on YouTube?
Well, I'm sure...
Friends, British friend.
You could find it from... You could find it off the back of looking up the cast of American Pie and finding out who played Stifler's mum, and then seeing her guest spot on Friends where she played a perfect arse.
And she does some interpretive dance while Chandler just looks on bemused.
He was very comfortable in himself by that stage.
He was. I think that was one of the seasons where he was off the cocaine.
Yeah, well, after he and Monica got together.
Oh.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. It's like it'd be like spoiling Rachel and Ross.
Well, it's funny because my two very good friends of mine who used to be my housemates were going through and watching Friends, and I hadn't realised it was the first time they'd ever watched it, and so I started spoiling bits about it, and they couldn't believe that Chandler and Monica actually got together because they were still back in season 3 or something, and they hadn't got to that part yet. So.
And it's almost like they're not particularly compatible.
Well, they ended up being,
didn't they? That is, look at
more functional relationship than Ross and Rachel.
Yeah, very true. Me and my partner Mel have been recently rewatching Friends, and we have a sort of a back and forth argument about which of them is a worse human being. And probably related to gender, I maintain it's Rachel, and she maintains it's Ross.
Oh yeah.
And when I've met people, when I've asked other people, it's generally fallen down that gender line. Women think that Ross was the worst human being, and men think that Rachel was the worst human being.
I think Monica's the worst. If I was going to go for
out of that relationship.
Oh, out of I thought you were talking about the whole.
No, goodness me.
Like all 6 of them.
No. We've got an update for you, Stairs.
Yeah, I said another time, about 3 times since you arrived tonight, and
your laptop just really wants to update. It's trying to push Windows 11 on you, friend.
It's not getting the message. It also tells me that my laptop can't handle Windows 11, and I'm perfectly okay with that because I don't need it.
I feel like that's an implicit attempt to get you to upgrade to a new laptop.
So I've always wanted the start menu hovering somewhere on the sort of.
Oh, it looks like
1/4 of the way in from the left.
It looks entirely unusable, doesn't it? It's incredible.
Well, it feels like the dock on like a Mac, the way they've structured the start.
Yeah, which I've never particularly liked, and I really enjoy that the two competing computer manufacturers are sort of drifting towards each other. So
yeah, but the thing is, like, they've not adopted the parts about the Mac's interface that are good. They've just adopted the parts that kind of are form over function.
I don't particularly enjoy any of the Mac interface, I don't think.
There's bits of like things like quick preview of videos, just pressing spacebar to preview videos, really handy, especially if you're a video editor.
Well, I can imagine.
But and I wish that was natively in Windows, but it's not. But you know, I don't know if you've seen the copy-paste icons that they've added, or like the rename icon. Instead of writing rename, you've got like an icon for it, which is it's not obvious. But
that's not very good for shorthand.
No. Let's change tack.
Speaking of short,
this is a very short track. The bullring, 2.4 kilometers only, and you can get around it in just over 50 seconds. Now that qualifying record, I thought I updated that, but that is not Jake Maloney's. That is Dayne Warren. So apologies to Dayne Warren.
And to Jake Maloney for giving him false hope.
Well, he did have the record in 2019.
No longer.
So last year it was Colin Warwick and Kurt Stenberg dominating qualifying, but Kurt Stenberg took the chocolates in all 3 races. Different format last year with the 3-race format as opposed to the 2-race format that we are doing this year. And Madbird, who's first out on track?
Looks like Zach Baker has gotten out ahead of everybody else. So last time out it was Thomas McMillan who always seemed to be wanting to lead the field. This time around, the 2 ZB cars are line astern heading down the back straight, and they're pretty much already through with their outlap. That is how short Symmons Plains is.
Yeah. So short our music is still going. There it goes.
There we go. As he reaches the final corner and helps himself onto this. Calling it a straight feels wrong because it isn't.
It's curved, and you can see he was struggling to get the power down, absolutely flooring it there. Good to see. Let's see what Zach Baker can do in his first lap in anger, and the first lap that we're seeing in anger in this qualifying session is his teammate David Nudich. Looks like he's either dropped it out of turn 1 or he's trying to give the guys behind a little bit of space.
Will he make it? Will he hit the apex in this hairpin? Oh, very squirrely on the brakes. Tiny lockup, but does manage to get it pulled up in time. Very well done there to Zach Baker. I think we're going to see a lot of that both in qualifying and the race.
Bit of banking in that hairpin. You can kind of take a few different lines, but generally I think the car on the outside tends to do better when you're seeing people go in side by side as you get more traction.
That wall does come at you in the exit, so it's quite easy to run a little bit too wide and slap it.
Final corner here for Zach Baker.
It's already over.
Isn't it?
With a 51.8 for our benchmark.
Now, the purple sectors have been coming in by Dayne Warren.
Oh, surprising no one.
Colin Warwick with the fastest middle sector. He goes into second place, but Dayne Warren 50.9.
Which we saw he did better than in practice, so that can easily come down a bit further.
So that's a 10th away from his ultimate qualifying record set in 2020. So he was a long way off his record at Sydney Motorsport Park last time. He's a lot closer to his ultimate potential from what we've seen.
I suppose this is a much shorter track, so there's a lot less places to make mistakes.
See if we can
Not that
catch
Dayne
up.
Warren makes many mistakes, as we see Zach Baker make a mistake.
That's him. Yes, I don't think he'll be improving on this lap.
Off on the last corner, manages to keep it out of any walls, so well done to him. Here is Dayne Warren.
We'll let him recover. Zach Baker's electing to go into the pit, so, excuse me, Dayne Warren going again. Looks like he's had a bit of a cool down lap. Well, never mind. 300 subs off his first
Well,
run.
that's a cool down lap by his standards.
Yeah. Now, has he gone for a 2-lap run, or is he going to come back in? Ethan Warren slots into second place on a personal best lap. Kurt Stenberg and Luke Rosella third and fourth.
He's a 10th and a half down on his best time, so I'm figuring this might actually be a cool down lap by his standards.
Yeah, quite possibly. Here's Thomas's mum is fit.
I'm still trying to figure out Brody Kostecki.
I'm going to assume that it is Jared Filsell because that's who was driving driving this car last time we raced at Symmons at Sydney Motorsport Park.
Very good. Goes third fastest.
They did seem to be quite chummy last time, battling each other. Thomas isn't here to defend his mum's honour.
No, that's a shame. As we see someone stationary on the front straight.
Who was that?
Not sure. It was one of the black cars.
There's a lot of cars coming into the pits right now.
I think it might have been Hans Brunswick.
So this is the action going on in the pits. So this is this halfway point of the qualifying session where everyone comes back into the pits to take on some new tyres and a bit more fuel. Meanwhile, Thomas's mum is apparently on a cool down lap by the looks of it, so he's coming in as well. He or she.
We know not.
We think it's Jared Filsell.
We think it's probably a safe bet. Who's out of position?
Who's out on track? It's probably about a third of the cars on the track at the moment.
David Nadich
Dayne
down
Warren's
in
just
14.
gone back out. And this is a low poly livery.
Ooh.
I don't think we saw this car last week.
Yeah, it looks like it could do with a few more pixels.
Termo at the wheel. He's currently sat in 12th. So, yeah, people out of position. Maybe Hans Brunswick down in 11th.
Yeah, we'd probably expect him to be up a little bit higher.
He's got quite a few competitive guys ahead of him, though. Steve Warwick, I must say,
Yeah.
up in 10th.
I was
That's a
about
terrific
to say
job.
that. Yeah, very well done to Steve Warwick. Alex Cattle down in 17th.
Here's Steve Warwick.
Would expect him to be a bit higher up in the order. That's a gaggle.
Steve Warwick being harassed by the man we think is Jared Filsell, and
Wisely gets out of the way.
wisely, and also Benjamin Dahlia going through in the AWG car. It's just,
They're really not very attractive cars. Oh,
my apologies to whoever painted that livery. They've moved away from the Race on Oz stable as Brody Steen was the only one left with a bit of a connection there.
I'm sure whoever painted it isn't watching. It's a school night, and they're probably...
Now, which are the primary colours, kids?
And what do you want for Christmas, little boy?
If anyone has not watched the post-race show on the Formula One YouTube channel for the Bahrain Grand Prix, go to about 5 minutes in where they talk to Yuki Tsunoda, and My goodness, I knew he was short, but I didn't realise he was that short.
I think the thing that gave it away for me was like the team lineups photos, and they for some reason had him standing in the front row rather than like on one of the back rows where they're standing on like a plank or something. Yes, it was Hans Brunswick who was stationary before. I recognise that car.
For all Australian races. I like that livery with the silvery letters on the side.
I do like that livery. It's a shame that the other AAR cars don't share it.
But not from a commentary point of view, though. Like, we like cars that are easy to tell apart.
Oh, it's the same thing with Lewis Hamilton's bright green, like, parts on his car. From a commentary and viewing perspective, it's nice, but from an aesthetic perspective, it doesn't. It looks like baby diarrhea.
It looks like, I think he's going for the Valentino Rossi look. Rossi used to have that bright.
Yes, of course he
46.
Did. That seems like a very Hamilton thing to do. How old was Rossi when he retired? Like
42 or something?
You reckon Lewis is aiming for that?
No, I don't know. I honestly don't know. Depends how quick Mercedes are to get fast again. Quick replay here. This was Cameron Parrott coming around the final corner a few moments ago.
The ever-present Tim Horton's car. Ooh.
Having a few struggles with the traction, and just for your viewing pleasure, here's a bit of a slow-mo of a couple of attempts to catch the slide, which I believe was done quite well.
We have Thomas McMillan in the chat, possibly here to defend his mum's honour.
He says hello.
We have it on. We've been informed from a reliable source, Thomas. Well, we don't know how reliable.
I want to remain as neutral as possible in this, because I'm not going to say whether the source is reliable or not.
We've heard from a source that your mother is fit, Thomas McMillan. Feel free to rebut, or do not, if you feel the need to.
Also, the backstory potentially
to big your mum.
That would be most appreciated.
1.5 minutes remaining in this qualifying session.
Thomas McMillan not here tonight to get into him.
No. Get into him!
So I don't know who Jared Filsell... we're assuming this is Jared Filsell. I'm going to just put that little...
let's just put that asterisk in
said
there.
It enough times, but, you know. The asterisk is there. Went by the moniker of JF last time we raced.
It's the entire field is covered by 2 seconds.
Now Steve Warwick is just finding a gap. Good idea to to just get onto the grass there. Well, hopefully he can clean his tyres up before he gets around for his next heater lap.
An entire lap ahead of him, surely he'll scrub that grass off.
50 seconds remaining, so up at the top, there hasn't been too much change. Dayne Warren on a 50.915, so he improved on his first effort, which was a 50.915, so he's just shaving milliseconds off it. Still got a 10th to find the qualifying record that he set in 2020, so I don't know that he's going to do that. Can't see. He's in Sector 3 at the moment, so it looks like he'll get one more go.
This is awkward for a few of them who are sort of stuck because they can't really slow down and give themselves some space because they'll miss out on a hot lap.
Or Rosello's in traffic.
Yeah, he's stuck right behind, I think that's Kurt Stenberg. So stuck behind is probably unfair, but...
Let's see, let's catch up with Dayne. He's 3 milliseconds off, so can he find any time to improve? It's going to be a tall order to find a 10th of a second through the final 2 sectors of this racetrack.
Would need an absolute blinder through the last corner, I imagine.
Depends how well he's nailed it on his first 2 attempts. Ethan Warren a 10th adrift. Luke Rosella in 3rd place. Kurt Stenberg down in 5th. Dayne Warren, can he improve? He does improve. He goes into the 8s. It's not quite 50.8s. The record stands. It's 0.15 away. Look out in the second qualifying session, I would say. If the track condition is anywhere similar.
He's gotten his eye in now.
He does have his eye in as Corey McFarlane goes through. Anyone else improving? There doesn't appear to be any other purple sectors on the timing screen, and that doesn't surprise me.
Doesn't look like it. So it looks like as if we're going to have row 1 will be the 2 Warrens, surprising no one, with row 2 Luke Rosella and Phil Sell.
Thomas's mum is fit.
Thomas McMillan saying in the chat, I reckon the bloke with the name should qualify somewhere that's not 23rd. which I'm guessing is a reference to a V8 Scops or something. Something not ASC related.
It's gone over my head.
Yeah.
So a quick recap. As we mentioned, the two Warren brothers occupying the front row with Dayne starting on pole. Luke Rosella in third place ahead of Jared Filsell. Kurt Stenberg and Colin Warwick, 5th and 6th. Corey McFarlane and Sean Allen, 7th and 8th. Good showing, I think, for Sean Allen. And Corey McFarlane backing up pretty strong start to his ASC career. And behind... hang on. It's just reset, so I'm not sure if I trust those results. I'll just see if the live races can give me the synopsis.
I think that's accurate. Yeah, Dane Liccardo and Steve Warwick rounding out the top 10, and then Hans Brunswick in 11th.
There we go, yeah. So, yeah, 51.8 for Dane Liccardo, and Steve Warwick on a 51.9. He was 2 milliseconds ahead of Hans Brunswick to get him into, was that the top 10? I believe so, for Steve Warwick. So, good job there. Termo ahead of Benjamin Dahlia. Benjamin Dahlia, I think, a bit lower than we're used to seeing him.
Definitely out of position.
And we had David Nenadich, Alex Cattle, Brapp, Cameron Parrott and Aidan Sykes, which rounded out our qualifying for the first race. All of them within 2 seconds.
That's pretty
which I think is pretty good. That's quite a competitive field.
It is a very small lap, so it's hard to be too slow around it, but that is still a very small amount of time for all of our drivers to be in. So we're just into a warm-up session for a couple of minutes by the looks of it.
Yep, so we might jump into some vision from the warm-up to see how these drivers go about preparing for the upcoming race. 44 laps, as we mentioned earlier in the broadcast. I think that this won't be terribly useful from a standpoint of race pace because it's only 2 minutes or so. And the track does look completely different to the way it would look in the race and how it just looked before, because the time in game appears to be quite late in the evening, and that looks to have caught out Corey McFarlane there, braking a little bit too late for the hairpin, and maybe cold tyres, cold brakes contributing to that as well.
When we get a chance, I'm not saying right now, I would love to know what Master Foods jar that is on the side of Corey McFarlane's car, just above the rear wheels.
If he stays still long enough. It looks like it's hard to tell because the ridge over the back wheel is right where...
It's really warped it.
It's right where you would see what it was.
It's quite disappointing.
You want to put our sweepstakes here? Cayenne pepper?
I reckon it'd be a sauce jar, surely.
No. Oh, yeah, you're right, actually. Like a mustard.
Yeah.
I was thinking, the tall,
the tall, skinny, and you got your dried parsley, or you got your oregano. What the hell is that?
Oregano is 3 spices. Some of them must be doubles.
Oregano?
The hell?
The hell is that? Chunky mustard.
Chunky mustard, Tim Redman reckons. Apologies for absolutely butchering your name there. Must have been...
If it didn't mean
French Dijon mustard in my mouth.
If it didn't mean a livery update every race, I'd say you should change it every race. But
no, I don't think so.
Let's not put that on everybody.
Well, we do have a skin update every round anyway.
Oh, there you go. So
yes, but I'd prefer we didn't because it would make my life easier. But anyway,
it's all
drivers
about
are given the opportunity to update their liveries from one round to the next. Dijon mustard, says Daniel Cox.
Whole grain, Tim corrects himself, not chunky. I guess it's technically correct.
Oregano.
Very good. Well, the warm-up session has run out. That was a very short warm-up session. Probably good. We don't really need too long a warm-up. We're going to see if we can get a shot here.
No, hang on. Why? That's not letting me. Boop.
Oh, I really hate the free cam controls.
Yeah, they need to be better.
Oh, there he is.
So we're going to go in. Hopefully the server doesn't reset.
Enhance.
Tell you what,
Enhance. I don't know if we're going to be able to tell.
So this is because we've had to lower the resolution of the liveries in order. Well, because we were having game issues with 20 cars. And
now that you've, I reckon.
So I think
I reckon it's some variety of spice, because that doesn't look like a sauce
It looks
consistency.
wider.
I
don't know. Well, we'll have to look at it. Maybe we'll get a chance in between races or so.
Maybe.
To actually look at the car in its before you load in the showroom.
That'd be good. Well,
Thomas
look
McMillan
at
saying, I think Thomas's mummy's fit should crash into the bushes. I don't know if you should be encouraging that,
into your
Thomas.
mum's bush?
I was just going to let that go through to the keeper.
What's with this huge weird shadow in the middle of the track there?
Good question. You'll have to ask whoever made the track, and I don't know who that is.
Microsoft Office 365.
Fuck that up.
It's one hell of a hoarding. Right in front of the Cooper's Mild. Or right behind, rather, the Cooper's Mild. That's launch. I reckon this happened last time.
Here's a replay of the sky from earlier.
Just in case you missed it.
Apologies. Yeah, so I couldn't find out how to rebind the key on the keyboard end. For some reason, it always goes to the last scene, and it always rebinds. So we're gonna jump to the race now.
Yep, that is the sky.
Goodness.
I reckon you might still be in the...
Yes, we've got some issues with some of our cameras here. So apologies, we'll get them lined up. We're about to start on a lap to set the grid.
There we go.
And
so
that is not a replay. Apologies. We'll get that fixed. There we go.
Dayne Warren leads us off from pole for race number 1. In second place, we've got his brother, Ethan Warren, returning with a vengeance once again. Luke Rosella in third place, sharing the line with Thomas's mum is fit.
Thomas McMillan saying that's not Jared Filsell, by the way. Who is it, Thomas?
Yeah.
Can you let us know?
Please, is it your mum? Just bigging herself up a little bit and being surprisingly competent at sim racing. Kurt Stenberg in 5th with friend Colin Warwick, the 2 admins sharing the 3rd row of the grid. Corey McFarlane has Sean Allen for company on the 4th row, with Zach Baker and Dane Liccardo rounding out the top 2.
Oh, Dane Liccardo, who's trying to mount the wall on the exit of the hairpin.
He's trying to do that cool thing in that one music video where they're all driving all on 2 wheels.
He'll have danger. He'll have damage.
Steve Warwick in 11th place with Hans Brunswick in 12th. Termo in 13th with that very, very low poly Pennzoil livery. We've got the first of the AWG cars, followed by David Nedich. Alex Cattle in the 2nd AWG car with Green Top Motorsports, and Cameron Parrott in the ever-present Tim Hortons car. Aidan Sykes rounds out our 19 runners for tonight, and I've managed to squeeze them all in before we've even gotten onto the grid. So
nice.
It's always a bit of a worry around here.
And we are set for a race start almost. And Ben Rhodes, or Roadies Racing, confirming that McFarlane does have whole grain mustard on the car. So
well done, Tim Redmond.
Answering lots of questions. Now we start the business of deciding who will win this race. Off they go. Dayne Warren and Ethan Warren alongside each other. And I think Ethan Warren's got the better start and slots through into the lead. Dayne Warren fighting back, but the door's shut firmly in his face.
It is indeed Luke Rosella holding on to that 3rd place, but it looks as if Thomas's Mummock's fit is getting robbed by Kurt Stenberg down the inside, and Colin Warwick just nowhere to go because it is such a skinny straight. And Ethan Warren now with a car length or 2 as they go into the hairpin for the first time, and it is messy. There was someone in the wall there, I'm not sure who, but it looks as if for the most part they've all gotten through unscathed.
Yeah, pretty good, to be honest. That's about as clean as you could expect them to get. So a couple of people swapping positions, nothing too major I can see.
Looks like David Nedich has just recovered back from the hairpin, so he was the one in the wall, I believe. So unfortunate for him.
Cameron Parrott came up 2 spots, so probably one of the beneficiaries of that moment for David Nenadic. And we've got a spinner in the back. It's Termo going around, and thankfully everyone avoiding that. He spun to the inside, and thankfully no one elected to take the inside. They all drove around the outside, so play on.
Play on indeed. Ethan Warren holding on to this lead on lap 2, but Dayne Warren is right onto his rear bumper, giving him a little bump. And they're going to be side by side down this long curving back straight, which is a contradiction of terms, but it's the only thing you can really describe it as, because it is a straight, but it is not. And this is pretty much going to be Dayne Warren's best opportunity, is flinging it down into the last corner, and he's doing it.
Go for it.
That is a dive and a half.
Inside line, Ethan sees him coming.
Oh.
There's a bit of door-to-door contact there, and Dayne muscles his way through into the lead of the race.
Well, that took, what, not even 2 minutes.
Oh!
Whoa.
I thought I saw someone spinning, but it was just someone's headlights.
It's a very dramatic camera angle, that one.
Yeah, we do get to see these cars very close up here, don't we? Everyone's setting green times, which is no huge surprise since that was the end of the first flying lap as they all go to the inside. Couple of wheels in the grass for Luke Rosella, who looks like he's trying to make a move, but he can't because Ethan's looking on the back of Dayne Warren, who goes a little bit deep, but gets the better traction on the outside line out of the hairpin. Yeah,
as you said during qualifying, that hairpin is quite banked, so you can carry a lot of speed if you go deep. It's just a matter of not hitting the wall. Ethan looking for the inside there, down this long curving straight, and then is going to have to go to the outside as Dayne Warren moves to the inside to defend. And there's a little bit of crossover there, so he wasn't able to try to snap back up the inside. Dayne covered it off anyway, holds on to the position.
And breathe. Ethan and Dayne Warren battling away. Lots of battles going on up and down the field. Steve Warwick and Hans Brunswick having a very, very tight battle over 11th and 12th place. As Steve Warwick goes onto the grass and through goes Hans Brunswick. And around the outside, getting mugged is Steve Warwick by the AWG cars we can see there. So, unfortunate little mistake that we caught on camera there, but there goes Benjamin Dahlia. Alex Cattle around the outside. Tag team there as Alex Cattle goes wide at the hairpin, and he's going to have his pass cut off, but not quite. Steve Warwick door to door as they come through turn 5. Steve Warwick will have the inside if he can just hang around the outside here, but it looks like Alex Cattle is going to be clear.
That is a long corner to be around the outside of. You need to have quite a lot of speed, and it doesn't look like he did, although he's tried to dive back up the inside.
Dahlia went wide.
Dahlia Medalia has flown off on the last corner.
Alex Cattle, the beneficiary, so we didn't quite see that happening at the start because the cameras here are so tight. But good job there from Alex Cattle. He ends up going up 2 spots in
12th place.
Well, not too many corners, really.
We've got Hans Brunswick and Dayne Liccardo side by side just ahead of them.
Wow.
On down into the hairpin.
Now, I wonder if Dayne's carrying a little bit of damage from that opening, well, I say opening lap. It was the formation lap where he hit the wall on the corner that we've just come out of. And he'll be wanting to turn his pit option to fix the damage. He'll want to turn that off so that he doesn't cost himself extra time in the pits.
Hans down the inside at the last corner. Dayne gives him enough room. There's a little bit of bumping, but nothing too significant.
Well, he's trying for the switch back there, but that was firmly cut off by Hans Brunswick as they chase each other off across the track. It often looks like they're trying to defend, but such a short straight that they have to zigzag their way, make a beeline for the racing line.
They're joined at the hip, those two.
Yeah, and I reckon there'll be a move here. Hans Brunswick, I doubt he'll open the door, so he's going to take that tight line in. I am immediately proved wrong by what eventuates. And Dayne Liccardo is not making that corner at all, and he exits stage right. So he tried very, very hard, but the brakes just didn't agree with him, and he locked it up.
Well, I think that is the first major run deep at the hairpin that we've seen, which it surprises me it's taken us nearly 6 minutes to see it. But Dayne Liccardo, not the beneficiary of a particularly good run through turn 3 there. As we see him, just those tyres not going anywhere despite appearances.
Yes, they were spinning backwards, but really they weren't spinning at all. And so Dayne Liccardo ended up recovering.
Did quite well to get it flicked around before it...
15th place or so.
Not too bad. Could have been worse.
Yeah, so he rejoined just ahead of Aidan Sykes there, and we'll set about trying to repair the damage. So Hans Brunswick up in the top 10.
Ooh.
Geez, there was some lockups going on ahead. Let's see.
Oh,
Hans Brunswick being served there by Alex Cattle.
Right into the back of him, and Alex Cattle immediately backs off. So I think he rather sensibly knew, well, that was probably my bad, and got out of the throttle a little bit.
Wow.
A little bit messy.
They're stretching out a little bit at the top of the field. Let's take you through the grid as it stands so far. Dayne Warren from pole position lost the lead to his brother Ethan Warren, but got it back on the second lap. for Trans-Tasman Racing. Ethan Warren trying to get that back, but it's all about, they're all separated by about a second or so. Then behind, Luke Rosella doing very good. I wouldn't be surprised to see Luke Rosella mount quite a challenge to Ethan Warren in this race. Then we've got Kurt Stenberg, who's holding off. Thomas's mum is fit. Colin Warwick in 6th place, ahead of Corey McFarlane. And then we've got about 2 seconds to the next car, which is Sean Allen, who's the leading car for AWG. He's holding off old rival Zach Baker in the ZB car. And then Hans Brunswick, who we've seen quite a bit of in this race, in the top 10.
Benjamin Dahlia, something must have happened to him because he is down in 19th place. It was probably a little while ago because I spotted it when you started your wrap up there. So, don't know if you want to... There we go. So, we'll see if we can find what happened to him. Oh, as Hans has a bit of a moment coming around the last corner. Coming under a bit of pressure from Alex Cattle behind. And the last time he was under pressure from Alex Cattle, he got a nice bump in the bum going into turn 3 just to where they're coming up to now. So, I could imagine being a little bit wary in that AAR cockpit.
Yeah, so Alex Cattle. Oh.
Car did not want to stop for Hans Brunswick.
It's a decent gap, so you would think that he's safe. And then Termo there, who we saw spitting early on, so good recovery to 12th. And we've found a replay, which we're going to show you now. This is about 2 or 3 laps ago now, and that's Steve Warwick crashing into the back of Benjamin Dahlia, and that is a long off-road excursion there for Benjamin Dahlia.
He did not hit a wall. That is incredible. For having gone very, very, very deep, very, very, very quickly, did not actually impact anything. So, unfortunately, he's down in 19th. The silver lining being he has no damage, but yeah, it's a little bit messy from Steve Warwick, who himself is now down into 16th place. So. Yeah,
so Steve Warwick, who had a very, very strong qualifying, has found himself in the wars in the race itself, it must be said.
It simply must be said.
I could not say it, but then I wouldn't be...
Looks as if Kurt Stenberg has managed to get past Thomas's mum is fit at some stage. Only just. They're quite close on track. And
he was ahead of him anyway, wasn't he? Didn't that happen off the start?
No, I believe Thomas's mum is fit was ahead of Kurt Stenberg, unless I may be entirely incorrect.
I thought when I did my wrap through that he was, but I have a short memory.
Possibly be correct.
I won't scrub too far back, but
nah.
But the action as we're seeing it on screen,
I reckon you might be 100% correct, and I am a fool.
All right, well, we'll let that one go through to keep it.
If you'll take me back, I'll put in a heated spa.
So, that'll be all right.
It's a Kath and Kim reference.
Fair enough.
Stairs, you're a hornbag, I'm a fool.
Get out. Get out of my house.
Oh, Lord. My partner would be so happy to hear me make that reference, and she doesn't watch these.
Kurt's in the pits.
I thought he was going
first to blink.
A very odd way, but he was not. Coming into the pits is Kurt Stenberg.
Yeah, that's interesting.
On lap 11.
Gap to lead. It was about 5 seconds when that happened.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the undercut or overcut sort of opportunity is around here. It's a very short lap, as we keep saying.
Yeah, and traffic is an issue as well.
You're pretty much going to have traffic unless
Luke Rosella on the inside there of Ethan Warren, but you just don't get good drive on the inside, as we mentioned earlier.
And it's a very long corner to try to hang it around the outside. Very long curving straight. He's going to try, getting a bit of slipstream and dips out. It's going to take one hell of a lunge,
he's
though.
He's going to try for it, I reckon.
He thinks better of it.
I'd be surprised to see one of them come into the pits this time, having just seen that Kurt came in, but they immediately proved me wrong on that point. Kurt is back on track. He's rejoined in 18th place.
So he's actually come out into a bit of clear air.
Yeah, so who was he battling? It was Thomas's mum. So it's about 36.5 seconds he's behind Thomas's mum is fit. Yep. So that's the pit lane delta. Good information to have.
As it looks like Benjamin Dahlia has come into the pits as well.
Luke Rosella's going for the outside this time, but Ethan Warren, he's going to drive him out of road, I reckon. Oh, that was
very generous.
Pretty, I don't know. I reckon he drove him high enough that he got the good traction that Luke Rosella missed out on.
But he's leaving the inside open for Luke Rosella to sneak up there.
Who else pitted, did you say?
Benjamin Dahlia.
Benjamin Dahlia.
From 19th place, so he's simply put himself a lap down. As Luke Rosella looks like he's thinking about it, but not quite close enough.
Ethan saw him coming.
And Ethan into the pits.
Into the pit lane.
So this is probably the closest battle we've been looking at where we've had a pit stop so far.
That and if Thomas's mum is fit.
Thomas's mum is fit indeed.
Or T-Miff, for short.
T-Miff.
Because I'm sick of saying that already.
I feel like T-Miff is very close to MILF, but not quite.
Thomas McMillan incidentally asking where is Peter Stenberg, and then with the emoji
eyes.
with the eyes looking to one side, suggesting that Thomas's mum is fit is Stenny. Peter Stenberg.
if it is,
he's found an incredible turn of pace.
Come on, leaps and bounds since last we saw Stenny.
And before everyone else changes their name to something promiscuous in order to find seconds worth of pace.
Please don't.
No.
We're still watching Luke Rosella here circulating. Has not pit yet. Looks as if Ethan Warren came in about 34 seconds the gap between Luke Rosella and Ethan
Brunswick, Brapp and Termo also currently in the pits, and Hans Brunswick coming out in 16th place. Where is he in relation to... Oh, that's a shame for Brapp.
That is a shame.
Kurt Stenberg is up the road by about 24 seconds. Okay, that's probably...
That sounds about right, yeah.
About what it was before. Bit of traffic, though, for Hans Brunswick. He was running in the top 10. We'll have to catch up with that one another time.
Ooh, a little bit squirrely coming out of the hairpin.
Just want to see if Dayne comes in this lap.
And he is.
He does indeed. So he was holding a gap, what was that, about 2 seconds?
I reckon so, over Ethan Warren, who has pit. So that is about 32 seconds as we speak. And obviously, well, it's gaining at the moment because he's moving down the pit lane. But once he becomes stationary, it will begin dropping. There is Ethan
There's actually
Warren.
quite a lot of cars in the pits. Luke Rosella and Cameron Parrott. Also one of the ZB cars, and Corey McFarlane. So Zach Baker all going up on the jacks at the same time there. Dayne Warren's been dropped off. Ethan Warren is just coming through the final corner
there
now.
He is. You can see him behind that AWG car. The line is, I think, right... Oh, it's actually just over that hump, so you can't quite see where
This is Ethan, and I think it's going to be Dayne Warren quite safely. Oh, bit of traffic there. One of the AWG cars just at the wrong moment there for Dayne, but they've got traffic in between. Well, he's cleared. Cameron Parrott has Ethan Warren. And is that... I can't see. Is that Alex Capel?
Thomas's mum is fit, is yet to pit.
It's Benjamin Dahlia. But Benjamin Dahlia, after being served off a few laps ago, is running in the back of the field.
Running a few laps longer hasn't worked out for Luke Rosella, who's 3.5 seconds behind Ethan Warren now, after they were pretty much line astern when he came into the pits. Thomas's mum is fit, is now pitting.
Kathy Kostecki is behind the wheel of 99, says Thomas McMillan.
I don't believe it.
I don't really know who to... Is it actually Brody Kostecki?
I'm gonna cease to pay attention to Thomas McMillan in the chat.
Anyway, T-Miff in 4th place. Sean Allen once again staying out long, and by virtue of doing that, leads the race. We haven't seen too much of him this race, so here he is. He might not be in the lead for much longer if he elects to come in right now, but he doesn't, so he will lead for another lap.
Very good. Looks as if Kurt Stenberg has lost that position to T-Miff in the course of the pit stops, only just.
To answer Jared Filsell's question, we do not know who T-Miff is.
We thought it was you, mate, so...
We did.
That's a pisser, he says.
Indeed.
Very well done. Get into him.
He's managed to bypass the swear filter on the YouTube's on live chat.
Or get into her, as the case may be.
So...
Thanks for watching Dayne Warren. Oh, no, that's the fastest lap.
That's Sean Allen we're watching.
Shut my mouth. Kurt Stenberg has managed to get back past through on T-Miff.
He never lost the position.
He did through the pit stops. But then
did he? Apologies. I missed that.
Literally was just saying it.
Oh, okay. I was too busy reading the comments from Jared Filsell about T-Miff.
What a sentence. Into him. And I thought I just saw it. Oh, Luke Rosella has caught up to T-Miff now.
Well, Hans Brunswick there, that's him unlapping himself. Because he's pit. Sean Allen hasn't. Now, is there action elsewhere we need to be looking at?
T-Miff and Luke Rosella And Ethan Warren.
Kurt Stenberg.
Oh, it's Kurt Stenberg. Shut my mouth once again.
So Luke Rosella, how has he lost positions to both of these guys? So that's a slow pit stop that Luke Rosella has ended up losing 2 positions here. He's trying to make it just 1. But that's a huge shame for him because he was challenging Ethan Warren not too long ago.
Yeah, he was about 3 seconds behind Ethan Warren, so he must have had a mistake somewhere that's resulted in him dropping into the middle of this battle between Kurt and T-Miff. It's probably the noise that T-Miff's making in the cockpit. Go Kathy, says Thomas McMillan. My goodness. Well, it's a mystery.
And so that's that AWG car, the one they've lapped is Sykes, no, Dahlia, isn't it?
I believe so, down in 17th place.
So he's not actually part of this battle.
So the race lap record 51.0. We're sneaking closer to that.
Yeah, 51.169 is the current fastest lap of this race, set by Dayne Warren.
Luke Rosella getting a good run on Team F down the straight towards the hairpin. It looks like he's covering off the inside, or she's covering off the inside.
He, she,
they are covering off the inside.
Oh, a bit deep there, but they all kind of go deep. I think going deep and then running out to the outside, probably the best defensive option.
Line.
Well, not necessarily if you're on your own, but if you're trying to stop someone from passing you, it's very hard for someone to kind of get the crisscross and get the good traction on the inside.
See how desperate Luke Rosella is to get past. He wants to get back up into that podium battle.
He's done a good job there to the inside. Team F saw him coming, and Rosella threw into what will be 3rd place once Sean Allen pits, and it looks like Sean Allen is in the pits currently.
Yeah, falling down the order as to be expected. Dayne Warren resumes the lead of the race.
Sean Allen's going to come out in about, well, he's currently 7th, and he's probably going to lose 8th and 9th.
I reckon he's going to come out in 9th place, so that's pretty decent.
Yeah.
Although
very close there with, who is that, 970 Brap.
That does tell me that he's down 1 position from his qualifying spot, so perhaps not great after all, but still within the top 10, so decent points. And he's not lapped.
Yeah, who did he lose out to?
Zach Baker? No. Corey McFarlane, I believe. No. Shut my mouth once again.
Anyway, let's go back to the battle for 3rd place, because Team F's got back up into 3rd here, ahead of Luke Rosella. We'll have to catch a replay to see exactly how he did it. So he's done he's done it earlier there, I think.
Yeah, I reckon he must have done it into the hairpin.
So they were side by side coming through turn 5 and just drove around the outside of the final 2 corners. So that's a terrific move there from the number 99.
It is, and Luke not able to get the position back through turn 3, although we saw him pull off a very, very good overtake into the last corner as they're coming up onto some traffic. So that may play a role in this one, and Luke, I reckon, is going to go for the inside once again. Break that little bit later. No, he chooses not to, possibly because of the traffic. Doesn't want to get himself tangled up in that first.
Not at all.
Who is, I think it's Steve Warwick.
Yeah, Steve Warwick and Aiden Sykes.
So
it's a tricky moment there, and Aiden Sykes does okay there in the end, really.
Not sure if that was an intentional run deep, but it worked out well for everyone involved.
He's lost a bit of time to Steve Warwick, unfortunately for him, in their little battle.
Oof. Luke Rosella nearly running into the back of Dayne.
See, there we go, deep and on the outside, and he seems to get better traction. That's a good move from, I think it's Kostecki. Team F.
Let's run with that.
Luke Rosella trying his darndest to fight back, though.
As we've just clicked over halfway through this race, only 20 minutes in.
Oh, the traffic there. I reckon Kostecki a little bit held up by Steve Warwick. And I was expecting to see Luke Rosella dive up the inside, but Luke Rosella's got his own problems with traction on the rear right now.
Gets out of the way to Steve Warwick. Well done.
Yep. Oh, he still had his nose in there. Luke Rosella couldn't turn in there. Anyway, no harm, no foul.
Couldn't turn his mum into Thomas's mum is fit.
Goodness me.
Down the straight they go towards turn 3. One of the ZB cars up there. I believe it's David Nedidich.
Off screen, Zach Baker and Corey McFarlane had a decent battle About a lap or so ago, Corey McClellan appears to have won out in that battle and is starting to pull away from Zach Baker for 7th place. As we watch Luke Rosella.
Once again, swinging it down the inside at the last corner. This time he's there.
Oh, he's there, and the room was given. Bit of door-to-door contact. I think Kostecki's got the better run on the outside of turn 7 there. And that allows him to keep ahead.
Oh,
very, very squirrely on the curbs there. Turn 1.
Four-wheel slide through turn 1.
It was.
And, look, Rosella forces himself into the inside for the hairpin. But we keep seeing going deep seems to be a pretty decent defensive line. And you see the drive that Thomas's Mummers Fit has coming out of the hairpin. But Luke Rosella does have a little bit of crossover here and does seem to be a little bit quicker.
Here's the onboard from Luke Rosella. It's a hang on and just grit your teeth kind of move there as Kostecki bowls it wide.
There we go. There was the mistake.
Struggled under brakes to get that one stopped, and through goes Luke Rosella into 3rd place. Fantastic.
He was just waiting for that much constant.
He's done the tyres, I think.
Yeah, it looked like he was nearly going around again. That much close running, and it's only a matter of time before someone makes a mistake.
Now, that whole thing has cost Luke Rosella about 7.5 seconds to Ethan Warren.
Where once upon a time, they were joined bumper to bumper going through the last corner.
Into him.
Mr.
Walshy 73 with probably the least likely guess to be true, which is it's Floody on a switch controller for TMIF.
My goodness.
So, moving on.
That'd be a hell of a performance.
Oh, absolutely.
Those things are not good.
I don't know if switch controllers are compatible with Automobilista, but I could be wrong.
I'm sure there's a way to hack it.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like, to make it work. People do weirder things.
So we're 27 laps in to this 44-lap race, and Dayne Warren holds a lead of 4.3 seconds over his brother Ethan Warren. Here is Ethan Warren. He's had a bit of traffic to negotiate, so through the ebbs and flows of that, he's gone down to that margin.
Through their battle, Luke Rosella and TMIF actually left Kurt Stenberg in the dust somewhat. About a second and a half now Kurt Stenberg is behind TMIF. There he is in the background.
Yeah, but with TMIF going off and maybe doing his tyres, Kurt Stenberg, who we haven't seen much of this race, it has to be said, the current defending champion, he might have his eyes set on 4th place before the end of this race. Does he have any strategy wildcards to throw?
So I reckon TMIF is going wide every time coming out of that last corner and dragging a couple of tyres in the dirt.
Yeah, I'm watching him on the other screen. He's driving hard, so those tyres, if there is any marginal aspect to this race for the tyres, then that will certainly come towards the end of this stint. Oh, there was a little bit of an unsafe rejoin for one of the ZB cars in front of TMIF. We'll just catch a replay of that.
I reckon it's David Nedidich who has been sort of just ahead of that battle.
Yeah, because Zach Baker's only about 20 seconds behind them, so he wouldn't be at the right part of the racetrack. So here is...
There's the smoke from the lockup.
Yeah, and there was 2 cars went deep, I think. Luke Rosella was dealing with... I think that was David Nedidich trying to get out of the way of Luke Rosella, and in the end... That little, what was that we just heard? There's a yellow.
The yellow flag just popped up in time with that sound effect.
We don't know who that is. They might have just recovered.
Oh
no, there it is. There's a car on the outside of turn 1 and 2.
I reckon it might be Steve Warren, possibly.
Oh, that's a shame. No, Dayne Liccardo, who's been in the wars. We saw him
on the formation lap.
Well, and he's been off there during the race as well. So poor old Dayne Liccardo is just having a bit of a mare right now.
After qualifying 10th, which was actually pretty decent.
Yeah, decent qualifying, but it's a tricky race. I remember way back in the Automobilista Australia days commentating on a race with you that Brenton Foley was racing, and he later became a champion for supercars in Automobilista Australia, but the race itself, after qualifying well, just didn't go too well. I think we're going to go back and see this replay from a long way ago, because we're talking about tyres. TMIF struggling with tyres, and Dayne Liccardo struggling on traction there. And I think they'd overheated. By the time he got to the brakes, he was all at sea.
Straight through the armour all hoarding and into the wall. And then, struggled to get it turned around, which probably didn't help matters.
Gravel trap there.
You got
Just had enough lock there. That was a good judgment, actually, in terms of how much lock he had to get out of there. But unfortunately, it's left him down in 17th place.
And holding up the cars behind him, looks like Corey McFarlane trying to lap him.
Yeah, Corey McFarlane in 7th, who's got a gap of about 3 seconds over Sean Allen, so he's not terribly under threat himself. It has to be said.
Dayne Warren into the pits.
So for his second pit stop.
I thought that there was something very dramatic happening for a second.
And a few other cars too. We've had Hans Brunswick and Termo and Kurt Stenberg.
And Ethan Warren, I think, maybe in the background?
That's the Corey McFarlane.
Boots car.
Whole grain mustard.
Is Verstappen in this split? Says Brad Newman.
Well, no, we haven't had a safety car gifting him a win yet.
That's harsh.
Yeah, he did deserve that win. Although, poor Checo.
Poor Checo. I don't think anyone would have been upset if Checo had won, but oh well.
No.
I don't think anyone was particularly upset about the battle either.
Even the guy who came second in that battle.
Yeah, he's just full of praise for it, as Ethan Warren now pits. Luke Rosella assumes the lead of the race.
Yeah, he did assume that.
Actually,
and a few other cars in the pits.
Might both be in the pits.
Yeah, so Alec Cattle, Cameron Parrott, David Nedich, and Steve Warwick. Oh, and I think Ethan copped a whack there.
I reckon that might have been Luke Rosella, or possibly Thomas's mum. That was Team If, actually.
Team If is in the pits. There is Team If's car.
Luke Rosella still in the lead.
Yeah, I just want to see if this... I'm pretty sure Ethan Warren did cop a whack. So we'll see if we can catch a replay. I may be wrong. Let's just see
well,
this.
if it is Kostecki and one of these iRacing guys, and he thought that he'd be able to just phase through Ethan Warren, then that would make sense.
It might have just been the car dropping off the jacks that I saw. No,
definitely not.
Yep.
That actually helped him out a little bit.
Actually, yeah,
probably straight up to speed.
Probably about a second gain there. He won't have to pit again, so he doesn't have to worry about damage. Ooh, Alec Cattle as we rejoin, having a battle
with Cameron Parrott. Well, I imagine that's...
it's not for position.
No. Alex Cattle a lap down.
Cameron Parrott 2 laps down.
2 laps down.
And is that Dayne Warren trying to pick his way through that?
It's very easy to be lapped around here. And it is Dayne Warren trying to get past Cameron Parrott. It's unfortunate.
So he's currently in 3rd because Colin Warwick and Sean Allen haven't made their pit stops yet. So much easier to keep track of endurance racing when they spread out and you can predict pit stops.
Especially when you got somebody that's writing all of them on a spreadsheet for you. That was incredibly handy.
So Dayne Warren will easily assume the lead, and his gap to Ethan Warren has been reduced by about a second. What did we say? That benefit of Brody Kostecki crashing into the back of him.
I reckon
during
getting
the pits.
him directly up to speed, no warm up.
Also a bit of traffic holding up Dayne Warren here in Sean Allen, who isn't too eager to get out of the way.
No, he's not making it. He's not.
In fact, that's not traffic actually. That's for position. So he's not obliged to get out of the way.
No, I do apologise to Sean Allen for assuming that. Dayne Warren nevertheless does get past.
So Colin Warwick's leading the race as a result. Going a bit longer. Good tyre life, it appears. Colin Warwick.
Looks after his tyres.
He's coming in now, though.
Doesn't look after him that well.
10 laps to go to the end. So a shorter stint for Colin till the end of this race. The father-to-be. They say when you have a kids, it knocks 2 or 3 tenths off your... Well, adds 2 or 3 tenths to your lap time. I don't know if that'll be the case. Unless you really
don't like your kids.
I don't know if that'll be the case for Colin.
You're really unhappy being a father, and you just desperately...
Madbird just stopped talking because a wall planner just fell off the wall.
Shook.
Very shook.
I am shook.
Colin Warwick's going to rejoin in about 8th, 7th.
Seventh.
He's going to hold on to 7th, I think.
Yeah.
There's the next car along.
Ahead of Corey
Just
McFarlane.
Corey McFarlane, so 3 or 4 seconds behind him, so you can see him in the back of that shot.
Down a position. Oh, that would be Sean Allen, who still hasn't pit, sitting in 2nd place.
Corey McFarlane's having a bit of a struggle on his hands to hold on to that position. Zach Baker coming back at Corey McFarlane. Was that a swap in position?
I don't think so.
Was he ahead before?
I think he was ahead before. I think Zach Baker has been hunting him down a little bit.
So,
Less than a second between them as they come into the last corner. Zach Baker nice and tidy on the back of McFarlane there.
yeah, Corey has the faster lap of the two, but only by about a 10. This is really going to come down to tyre life and who makes the least number of mistakes till the end of the race.
Always pretty clean in car-to-car combat is Zach Baker, so be a good battle to keep an eye on.
Ethan Warren has slashed the gap to Dayne Warren by 3.5 seconds, although as I'm looking at it, it is fluctuating mildly. Not wildly, just mildly. As Sean Allen finally elects to make his pit stop, and so that should cleanse the field as far as the pit stops are concerned till the end of this race.
I think he was the last one we were waiting on.
Yeah.
Zach Baker just not able to make enough inroads throughout the lap to have a dive into the last corner. A little bit wide there for Corey McFarlane, but still manages to keep all of his tyres on. Oh, it was a very aggressive cut across the track as they're catching up to Steve Warwick, who we've seen has been slightly harrowing to lap for some drivers.
These two are the last to be, well, the last not to be lapped at this stage. They've got a decent old gap. Dayne Warren is just coming through turn 1 and 2 now. So he's got sort of the first straight of the lap in the first sector between them.
Steve trying to get out of the way, I think, but Corey wanting a bit of slipstream.
Yeah, it's quite a narrow track. It's hard to get out of the way without costing the people going past you some time, and that has not worked out at all well for Zach Baker.
No.
Corey McFarlane getting a free pass, and Zach Baker
Still stuck behind Steve Warwick, who's trying to get out of the way on the outside, I think.
It's a huge free kick for Corey McFarlane there, so he's loving life right now.
Yeah, Zach Baker still stuck behind Steve Warwick. Zach Baker still stuck behind Steve Warwick.
Still stuck. I don't know that he's stuck, actually. He's not right on the back of Steve Warwick. So, just wasn't able to make the move.
I reckon Steve might be getting... No,
yeah, but Zach Baker went deep too there, so...
Steve's not diving out of the way, is he?
Well, you know, got to be there. There he goes. He's led him through there. Good move there from Steve. So, that's... there'll be maybe an exchange of bottle of wine or something after between Steve Warwick and Corey McFarlane.
Got some feedback from Shane Van Gisbergen in the chat just saying, why are they all missing the apex of turn 4?
Is that the actual Shane Van Gisbergen? I'd be astonished if he was watching our pokey little broadcast right here.
I hugely doubt it. If it is, Shane, why don't you give us a share on your socials, mate?
Glad to have you watching. We hope you're enjoying the show. Speaking of show, TMIF, and Kurt Stenberg. Sorry. Yeah, they're having a battle.
They are.
Don't know why I'm apologising for that.
I'm sorry, they're having a battle. Into the last corner, Kurt trying to cut up the inside, coming onto the start-finish straight in inverted commas. And Luke Rosella just with a watching brief on this. As I say a watching brief, a touching brief. He's right on the back.
We saw that team. Into the wall there. Kurt Stenberg rubbed it, and that is going to give Luke Rosella an opportunity. How did Luke Rosella drop behind these two? He was up in third place, so it's all kind of gone apart. So none of them are going to make the apex at turn 4, as Shane Van Gisbergen was saying. The response from Lewis Wedding or Lou Simsport is because they're all on keyboards. Well, that might explain the the Kostecki tyre wear that we were seeing.
That would explain some things.
So it's quite a remarkable little battle going on here, and unfortunate for Luke Rosella, who early on was challenging Ethan Warren, but now there's a 20-second gap. So absolutely walking at home are the two Warren brothers, Dayne Warren and Ethan Warren, not getting the airtime, it would be said.
It might be said.
Shane Van Gisbergen saying, what game is this? This is Automobilista, Motorsport Simulator. So, oh, and Kosteki's been served off the track.
Oh, straight into the wall. And that is a shame for Team If. Falling down the order. It was always going to happen eventually as he was weaving, trying to break the
They
toe.
were chasing each other across the track, and Kurt Stenberg braking, boom. Little bit of a nudge, and he only just made the corner himself with Luke Rosella trying to get up underneath him. So it's not the cleanest move that Kurt Stenberg has ever done. And Team If down into 5th place. So we rejoin this battle for the final spot on the podium now between Luke Rosella and Kurt Stenberg. So Kurt Stenberg in 3rd place, holding on to that for what would be a very unlikely podium. F's in chat from Levi McMillan.
Yep, that's F's in chat indeed. Team If down in, well, only 5th place, so he didn't really lose any more positions.
No, they had a decent old gap to Colin Warwick, who, has to be said, didn't play the strategy masterclass that he did in the first round in Sydney Motorsport Park.
I got to be honest with you, I don't think this is Shane Van Gisbergen.
Well, anyway, whoever you are, nice to have you along watching. And we've got quite a few people in chat. Brad Newman saying, good pass. Have to say I agree with you on that one.
EA Sports, it's in the game. Luke Rosella trying desperately to get this last podium position. He's only got a lap and a bit to go. And those laps are going to go by very quickly. So best opportunity probably down into the hairpin. Kurt moves to the outside to cover it off, which is an odd thing to say, but seems to be the best way to go about it. Gets a little bit wiggly under brakes.
Well, we know that the best way to hold onto a position through turn 4 is to go wide of the apex.
It seems to be.
Dayne Warren has started the last lap of the race, so we're less than 50 seconds away from crowning a winner.
Luke Rosella running out of opportunities to steal a podium position. His first podium of the year it would be, and richly deserved.
That's hard. It's weird to say, although we are only 2 races into the championship, this being the 3rd. 2 completed races, that is.
Feels like we've been racing for longer this year, but
it'll feel longer after it's been longer.
Eloquently put.
Let's join Dayne Warren on his victory. Oh, I'm just looking at the other screen. No change of position yet, but it's mighty close. We're going to go back there. There's a little bit of contact. Okay, final corner. Dayne Warren will get him across the line.
There he goes.
There he goes.
Good on him.
Back for 3rd. It has stretched out a bit on the exit of the hairpin. Ethan Warren 4 seconds after Dayne Warren came through to collect 2nd place as Rosella goes for the outside. Is he going to make that move stick? Is he going to drive around the outside of Kurt Stenberg? But Kurt Stenberg still has the inside. He's got 2 wheels up on the curb. He serves him into the grass, but he still manages to hang on. Luke Rosella gets that podium by the barest of margins. There was only 0.05 of a second in it in the end, but Luke Rosella stops Kurt Stenberg from claiming that podium. Dayne Warren and Ethan Warren will share the podium with Luke Rosella. What a finish to that little battle. And Colin Warwick got Thomas's mum is fit in the end of it for 5th place, relegating Team F to 6th with Zach Baker in 7th, Corey McFarlane in 8th, and those two were only split by half a second themselves. Sean Allen, the last man on the lead lap with Alex Cattle, the final guy inside the top 10. He's a lap down. Hans Brunswick ended up 11th, and then we had David Nenadich, Termo, Steve Warwick, Benjamin Dahlia, and then it was a bit of a tale of woe for poor old Dane Liccardo, Hayden Sykes, Brapp, and Cameron Parrott running out our grid of 19 drivers. But fantastic to see 19 drivers all finishing the race. No retirements.
Absolutely fantastic. What an overtake from Luke Rosella, and yeah, unfortunate for the barely present Tim Horton's car of Cameron Parrott. There it is on cue.
It's present in the pit lane.
It is present at the moment.
As we see our race winner Dayne Warren going back to the pits.
What an absolute blinder of a race. Fantastic.
Yeah, it really hotted up towards the end, didn't it? There.
It did. It tightened up, and that was just that was the longer of the 2 races, and it still was barely what, 40 minutes or thereabouts.
Well, yeah, 44 laps, but
41 minutes and 12 seconds currently ticking.
Yeah, with a 50-second lap time. 2 pit stops. They add a little bit of time to it. As our chat's going off. Good to see Blair Warren in the chat. He's pretty happy with his 2 boys, Dayne Warren and Ethan Warren, who so far have not finished in any position other than first and second, with Dayne winning all of the 3 races that we have had so far. So we'll take a little bit of a moment to digest that. Good to see so many people jumping in to chat. Nathan Higginson, who is a regular visitor to ASC with us. Good to see him in the chat. Brad Newman, Automobilista, gives you all the DLC and such. So lots of people interested in this game. We do, of course, have Automobilista 2, but we are sticking with Automobilista 1 for this series because of the incredible mod support that it has. This series does an absolutely fantastic job to try and replicate the real Supercars Championship as closely as we can, visiting the same racetracks and using the same cars. And so whenever a new circuit shows up, that means that we do our best to find something as close to possible as the real life event. And we certainly have had our challenges with that changing on an almost weekly basis in the last 2 years, with the COVID pandemic causing total chaos with the calendar. But it looks like we're going back to somewhat of a more normal calendar in 2022. Touch wood, it stays that way. And so we're looking very much forward to that. And with the recent South Australian election going the way of Peter Malinowskis, that is something that is going to have implications for the calendar quite potentially, with the news coming through that the Adelaide 500 shall return. And certainly that's something that a lot of race fans here in Adelaide are very, very excited about. So hopefully it means that that happens this year. I think the plan was for that to happen in December, and if that does happen, no doubt we will be racing in Adelaide in the Automobilista Supercars Championship as well. So I'd be very, very excited about that. It's been a little while since we did that. Back in 2020, that was the last time that we raced this series in Adelaide. And of course, we've got all these other bespoke tracks such as Newcastle. Good, hoping that we do get to go back to that one pretty soon, because that was a fantastic modded track. And speaking of that, of course, we've also got the Gen 3 cars on their way, with the Camaro, which we've seen on track at real-life Supercars events, and looking forward to seeing development on the mod so that we can race the wider, fatter, sleeker Mustang alongside the Camaro for the Gen 3 cars.
I do love wide, fat and sleek as descriptors. You know what's dicey, Stairs?
What's that?
Wandering blindly through a slightly unfamiliar house in the pitch darkness because we forgot to leave any lights on upstairs.
Ah, yes.
You know that Japanese creepypasta Momo, like the sort of girl with the huge eyes. And
I just 30 seconds. Madbird came back. That's how long it took to go off topic. No idea what on earth you're talking about. Momo, what?
Yeah, well, look it up if you want. Anyway,
perhaps later.
I've had that stuck in my head, and honestly, and there was sort of like there was a tree scratching against a wall or something in the night outside, and trying to wander through upstairs to find the loo while there was that scratching noise, and my mind just kept going to this Momo thing, and my goodness, I was afraid. But I found the toilet.
I'm sure I'll understand what you're talking about after I see this.
And I'm back.
For some reason, YouTube chat has decided to hide Luke Rosella is a dog.
Luke Rosella is a dog.
From Kurt Stenberg, which apparently is more controversial than I'm trying to think of other things that were said in the chat. But anyway, good little tip from good little tip from Daniel Cox in the live chats, letting us know with this little bit of a public service announcement that Automobilista 1 is $6.76 on Humble Bundle for 2 more days.
That's a bargain.
That is a bargain. And I have seen Automobilista 2 on there for a reasonably cheap price as well in recent weeks.
All goes to charity as well, so that's
good.
definitely a good decision if you haven't got it.
If you are feeling charitable, we do have a Patreon as well, which you are welcome to visit and support the live stream. It takes a lot of effort to get these things together. Nathan Higginson saying Ultimate Edition isn't on Humble Bundle, but if you buy that and Adelaide Track DLC, you'll be set for the Australian content as well as everything else, which is extra third-party content that is free. So good to see a couple of people discovering this stream and interested in getting involved themselves.
Yep, Automobilista is a it's one of the I feel like it's the sort of the lesser known of the Sims
underrated.
out there. Yeah,
people don't know about it until they see a stream.
Assetto Corsa and R Factor 2, which Automobilista is basically built off of. And of course iRacing, but there's a wide variety of sims out there. You got your Assetto Corsa Competizione for your GT3s, and you got Automobilista for pretty much everything else. You got Project Cars, which I don't really hear much about anymore.
That's true, actually.
Which I feel like that was going to be the new big thing for a while. Looks a bit like a pork chop.
The thing about Project Cars is that it was sort of the new pretty game, but then we had things like ACC come out, which was another pretty game, and
also a lot simmier.
A bit more specific.
Very specific. Although they've got
isn't that a sight?
That was a bit messy. One of the AWG cars hitting Ethan Warren coming out of their pit box.
Yeah, who was that? Was it Benjamin Dahlia? Can't see any other AWG cars in the pit lane. Anyway, no harm, no foul, as they say. So I think it's Zach Baker leading them around again. We've got Dayne Warren pretty close to the front of that train as well. Actually, no, someone's ahead of Zach Baker. It's, I think
Thomas. Team If.
Yeah, it's Team If. Let that one slide.
Tickford uses it to this day in their sims, reckons Nathan Higginson of Automobilista.
It's a pretty ringing endorsement for a top-level supercars team to use something like this.
Wasn't there? Didn't you go to when you went to the 12-hour for the first time? Didn't they have Automobilista set up in like a series of simulators, and it was like come and do your best time,
come and try thing. Yeah. Set up with I think they had G27s, but the force feedback was not working properly, so it was a bit hit and miss.
They were probably a bit rooted. If they're like higher gear, so a lot of sweaty hands. Previously been on those wheels. Dayne Warren.
Not COVID safe.
No, definitely not. But this was before COVID. What a weird thing to say.
Dayne Warren has the fastest first sector, 17.786. And that's 0.2 faster than anyone else I can see. A lot of 17.9s, Corey McFarlane, Ethan Warren. So already setting the pace early on in this qualifying session on his first lap. You could be forgiven for taking it easy on your first lap, setting a bit of a banker.
Not something that Dayne Warren is capable of, I don't think. Goes straight to the top.
50.9. So the marker we were looking for was a 50.815.
He was what, a hundredth off that on the previous.
15 milliseconds or so.
Yep, off of it previously.
Yeah, it wasn't much. So we're eager. It's not really a question of whether Dayne Warren will get pole. It's how much he'll get it by.
He is dominant, which, I mean, as we keep saying, he got flown to Europe to take part in professional sim racing in inverted commas. I assume he was paid for it. So you would expect him to be bloody quick.
Here's a fantastic view.
I was just trying to...
Oh, man.
You know... You seen that view of Buddy's 1000th goal where it's this woman's head like right in front of the camera, half blocking the frame? This feels like that.
Well, one would think that the driver's view would be slightly lower than the one we're looking at here.
You would hope so.
Otherwise, there would be questions asked as to the placement of the name on the windscreen there. Doesn't like glare or being able to see details of any kind.
Wants to be able to see through a letterbox.
Dayne Warren went back to the pits, so you didn't miss a Dayne Warren lap for this incredible bit of driver insight. Well, who's that sailing? Whoa,
Oh,
that's Corey sailing.
Corey McFarlane sailing. Sail!
So that was a bit preemptive on my part as Hans Brunswick negotiates his way through the hairpin, and so too Cameron Parrott. Looks like
smartly
it's,
out of the way.
Yeah, there's a bit of traffic coming through there, so he's finding a gap.
Oop, nope. Oop, there you go.
He's got it.
He's got it. Yes, he has.
So, Ethan Warren, 2/10 adrift. We've seen faster from Ethan Warren. Luke Rosella in third, Kurt Stenberg in fourth. Similar kind of order to what we saw for the first race.
So when are we going to start Dayne Warren with a puncture? Just to equalise the field somewhat.
Well, yeah. Because at the moment, it's looking very much like he's going to add to his tally of 1 championship. Which is currently bettered by Kurt Stenberg, who has 2 championships.
There you go. Technically, Dayne Warren is not the most successful driver in ASC history.
Well, he is if you count by sheer race wins, though.
That's true. Percentage of races entered to percentage of wins, I think.
Well,
would be
even
close to 100%.
Even without the percentage thing, I don't have the figures right on me. I might be able to find them actually.
In terms of how many wins he has outright.
Oh,
Ooh,
someone. Everyone else though, who isn't someone, they're here.
Anyone who's anyone
Refueling.
is going wide at turn 4. Halfway through this qualifying session, they're short qualifying sessions, but it's a short track, so you can still get in probably 7 or 8 good heater laps.
Yeah, that's the thing about these short race tracks, and we go to a few of them.
Barbagallo was the other one I was thinking of. Yeah.
Pukekohe, that's about a minute or a 50-second lap as well, from memory.
Is there a reason why there's a New Zealand round in the Australian Supercars Championship?
It's not specifically called the Australian Supercars Championship.
That's true. It's just the Supercars.
And there are quite a few New Zealand drivers, and historically throughout the...
Well, Gizzy's New Zealander, isn't he?
And so was Scott McLaughlin before he moved to IndyCar.
I suppose they used to do...
Greg Murphy.
I don't think they have for quite a while, even before COVID, but they used to do a couple of footy games over in NZ as well, so...
I don't think they're as excited about that as they are about rugby.
Well, it's sort of less it's less of a universal thing than, you know, watching cars go quickly around a track, isn't it?
But the New Zealanders do love their motorsport, so they do definitely get behind their Kiwi drivers, and they have had quite a few good ones over the years.
Well, good on them. They've done quite well for themselves.
Ethan Warren's just trimmed that gap to just over 1/10. Ethan Warren in second place. NZ Snipes, who is one of those aforementioned Kiwi motorsport fans, saying because all your talent comes from there.
All my talent.
Us as in Australians. It's
very good.
The Trans-Tasman rivalry. Speaking of Trans-Tasman, we do have the Trans-Tasman racing team in Ethan Warren and Kurt Stenberg.
You got people like Sam Neill who renounce the fact that they were born in New Zealand. So,
Russell Crowe.
Yep. Some people don't want to acknowledge that part of their history. Let's see why.
Yeah. So as of today, Dayne Warren has 24 victories in the Automobilista Supercars Championship. The next closest is Ethan Warren and Kurt Stenberg, who are tied on 14. Actually, that would be... Ethan Warren would be on 15 now because the Bathurst 1000 would have been since then.
And Dayne Warren would be on 23 following the 2 races last round.
24. Because he just won a race.
Of course he did.
About 10 minutes ago.
Well, I wasn't including tonight, Stairs.
I was. I was. You see?
My goodness.
My goodness. So,
my goodness.
in case you're wondering about the other records,
Dayne Warren has improved while we've been nattering on.
That's 5 milliseconds away
from the previous time that he set last qualifying session, as he narrowly avoids an AWG car.
Stops to give him directions.
Nah, the track's this way, Matt. And he didn't listen.
So the rest of the records, they're Jake Maloney with 9 wins, Sean Allen with 9 wins, Colin Warwick has 5, Luke Rosella on 4, Thomas McMillan on 3, Corey McFarlane on 2, and then 1 apiece for Emily Jones, Brodie Steen, and Damon Woods.
Damon Woods.
He came for a race or two at the end of last season.
Ah. Dayne Warren, unsurprisingly, has the most pole positions. With, oh, that'd be, what, 30, 33 now? 34?
32.
32. Soon to be 33.
Kurt Stenberg with 16. Ethan Warren with, I think that would be 14 now. So, to highlight the point, it's sort of Dayne Warren and then
Dayne Warren,
fresh air.
Dayne Warren, then everyone else put together, and you've got a competition.
So Dayne Warren is currently in the pits, so he's not going to have another go.
So he's going to...
Team If is in second place, so he's jumped ahead of Ethan Warren, so that's an interesting late development in this qualifying session.
Hasn't set the timing sheets a lot on that lap, but he will be going for another heater. This will be the last opportunity.
Yeah, Ethan's on a lap 2.
Very close together on track, must be said, so not the ideal way to do it.
Well, Ethan might be helping Team If a little bit here.
Team If is up.
Well, not anymore. Well, actually, having said that, we've seen different lines working through the final corner, so it remains to be seen whether that works for him or not.
17.4 was Dayne Warren's best middle sector. He's up by a tenth and a bit, and only just down on Dayne Warren's time. If he gets a decent run through this last corner...
Yeah, you've got a purple first sector on this lap, so that would have probably been a little bit due to the slipstream. Ethan Warren improves, and Team If doesn't.
No.
So it's second place for Ethan Warren. He found about 0.04 of a second there, and that was enough to jump him ahead of Thomas McMillan, but not enough to jump him ahead of Dayne Warren. Blair Warren has a prediction. I think Dayne might win this one, but Ethan may have a say in this one.
Very good.
I'd say you'd be getting short odds on that one, Blair.
I don't know many people that would be betting against Dayne Warren at this opportunity.
So Luke Rosella in 4th and Kurt Stenberg about 0.4 off, just ahead of Corey McFarlane.
Very good. Well, that's qualifying. I don't think we're waiting on anyone to, never mind, shut my mouth. Brap just came across to set 15th. And I think that was the last of our runners for qualifying. So Dayne Warren leads out from Ethan Warren from Team If, Luke Rosella, Kurt Stenberg, Corey McFarlane, Colin Warwick, Sean Allen, Zach Baker, and Hans Brunsvik are the top 10. And Alex Cattle, Dane Liccardo, Termo, David Nedich, Brap, Benjamin Dahlia, again 16th. Really is not gelling with this track, it seems. Or hasn't had much practice, perhaps.
It's just, because there aren't too many corners. You can afford on a longer track to have 1 or 2 bad corners.
If you got 1 or 2 bad corners here, it's half the lap.
That's a lot more, yeah.
Steve Warwick down in 17th, so not backing up his 10th. Well, not 10th, but it was a decent qualifying on the previous occasion. Cameron Parrott and Aiden Sykes. So still 19 runners. We haven't lost anyone between races. Very good to see.
It'll be the same front row we had for the first race, and Ethan got a really, really good start on that first race, but Dayne was fast enough to catch and pass him very, very shortly into the race, around about lap 2 or so.
Blair putting 50 large on the boys.
Let it roll.
I reckon your return on that will be $50,001.
No, I think he's going to give $50 to whoever wins.
Ah, very good.
I don't know. He's done that sort of thing before, hasn't he?
Has. For some reason, I just expect the Warren household to be this Lord of the Flies, like, competitive. Whoever you get to eat tomorrow if you set the fastest lap.
No, I think they work for their crust. With Ethan Warren doing a lot of work with the model car business, with Card FX. The model car side of the business, I should say.
I do watch that. I watched that Facebook channel. Sounding very...
Okay, boomer.
Very boomer of me. I do keep an eye on that Facebook channel, and I said channel once again. That Facebook page, and those models do look particularly good. If I ever...
Yeah.
If I'm not sure they do DRMs, but if there's a possibility for a die-cast Ford Capri to be done in my Weeb machine livery from the ARW DRM season.
There's quite a few very satisfying YouTube channels where they do very detailed. I mean, there's the Pandora's box of model making on YouTube, but specifically the car models where they meticulously apply all the decals and all that sort of stuff. So there might be an opening there for KartFX to do a bit of that.
There you go.
Make videos out of it and get millions of views.
It's very satisfying to watch.
Yeah, and just like the sound of it, you know, wet sanding here and, you know, doing a bit of this and that. And there's a lot of quietness, and then it's punctuated by a little bit of noise, you know, where you're doing
Plastic
a bit of sand
together
here.
And
The airbrush, or the what's the... the air painter.
Yeah, airbrush.
That's, I had it right
You had it right the first time, Matt.
I had a bit of a mental slip there, as I do in many occasions of my
remember
life.
then there was a break between races for some reason, and Grosjean spent that break putting together a model of the six-wheel Tyrrell.
Oh yeah.
And I'd never really liked Grosjean until that moment, and after that, I rather liked him.
It is an affable quality, but he probably should have done it improving his racecraft. But he's actually doing quite a good job over in IndyCar right now.
I think the best thing for his
career was the crash.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think that's like improved his esteem, because before that he was just sort of this complaining Frenchman, and now he's the complaining Frenchman who had quite a traumatic crash.
He had quite a reason to complain, but I think he was just happy to be alive.
Well, probably fair enough.
Yeah, there was an interesting podcast. He went on Nico Rosberg's podcast, which was quite interesting, talking about, you know, their respective careers, and I think the danger of it came into the conversation at some point. And yeah, it was very interesting.
Should go listen to. There's a couple of the Nico ones that I've been meaning to listen to that you've recommended.
Yeah, they're hit and miss. It's got to be an interesting person, because if it's not, then Nico doesn't really make up for it.
It's kind of the Joe Rogan of motorsport people. He needs someone interesting to talk to, otherwise it's just like listening to a chimpanzee grunt.
Yes. So we're just waiting for the session to tick over for the second race. So the details of that: 22 laps. We mentioned that the first race has 2 compulsory pit stops. The second one only 1. So that must be taken between laps 1 and 20.
There you go. So basically, don't take it in the last 2 laps. You could dive in at the end of the first lap if you really wanted.
We're well ahead of our schedule, it must be said. No, sorry, we're well behind our schedule. As you were.
Only by a couple of minutes.
Yeah, half an hour or so.
Oh, this says 9:15.
Yes, but these are in Australian
those are Eastern
daylight
time.
Daylight, so Eastern, AEDT, not
Well, perhaps it's
CDT.
Queensland, in which case we're well ahead of time.
Hear that they're getting apparently rid of daylight savings altogether in the United States.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never really understood I've never really understood the why it's a thing. It's something to do with...
Well, people like having daylight in the summertime when they get home from work.
Yeah. But
so
like
they can
that
do
seems...
things.
That's I know, but that's that seems like a very strange, arbitrary cultural reason to change time for half the year. Like, I don't know. It just seems...
I don't know. I'd miss it if it was gone.
I don't think I would. I quite like nighttime. That sounded a little bit...
I don't know. I get miserable in winter when there's not enough daylight.
But I'm a winter boy, so that's the difference, I suppose.
There you go.
I quite like being cold. You don't. I remember when we went to
with the cold.
when we went to. I think we went when we went.
I don't like really hot days in summer though either. But
I think when we went to the Flinders Ranges, it was. I can't remember. Like it was something that was just verging on uncomfortable for me, and you were perfectly in your element. And Aaron was like, "Oh no, I wish it was about 10 degrees hotter than this." And we would.
he was joking though.
I'm not sure he was.
Although yeah,
He's a weird guy.
He put up with some heat in the last house we lived in. There was a matchbox that was his bedroom, and it got all the radiant heat off the driveway reflecting into it. So it was, and then we figured out that the button that we thought turned on the air conditioning in his room was not working. So he hadn't had air conditioning for 2 years.
Oh my goodness!
So he survived that like a trooper. I would have died of heat exhaustion pretty soon after.
I like to think I would have
into that room.
I would have realised that the air conditioning was not working.
Well, he just didn't complain. I mean, he works in a kitchen where it gets pretty hot.
That's true.
Well, Subway kitchen, but yeah, and I don't know. Like
Fresh.
the thing about winter is that it's like uncomfortably cold for the entire season, whereas with summer, there's like a few outliers where, oh, that's a bit too hot. I don't like that.
I haven't minded this summer because we've had like a couple of days of maybe 40.
I don't think it got to 40 this whole summer.
No, there was one day because I remember someone complaining that it was the one, like, we haven't had, summer's finally here, and then it was gone the next day.
Yeah, but I think a year or two before that, before COVID, we had a few, there was a few days of like 45, 47, and I was like, this is not, I don't like this. Not for me.
This is not good. Yeah, but my thing is, you know, you can always get warmer. It's much harder to get cooler. You can always...
Yeah, but it doesn't happen very often, so that's why I prefer summer.
Fair enough.
Whereas, like, just being...
Yeah,
I don't know, I do acclimatise in the winter, but, like...
You can just always wear an extra layer.
June, yeah, but, like, I run out of clothes.
You do have less padding.
Honestly, I wear, like, 5 layers. Anyway, but, you know, it is what it is.
I remember lending you a jumper, actually, walking back in the Flinders Ranges because you were freezing to death as the sun went down.
About 2 minutes till race start to answer the question of Levi McMillan, who's getting boring of our talking
valid.
about the weather.
Honestly valid. But, you know, there's one thing we do well, Stairs, and it's fill.
Oh, we fill.
We fill and we sell. Fill, sell.
Yes. He's not racing tonight.
No, he's not. Apparently
he's
not.
watching.
Still to be answered is who is Thomas's mum is fit. We think it might be Brody Kostecki.
But we thought it was Jared Filsell before we thought it was Brody Kostecki.
It could easily be Jared Filsell and he just had it open on a different screen.
Is there a third Warren brother that Blair hasn't been telling us about?
He's kept in the attic.
Yeah, like Hugo from The Simpsons.
It's literally making that exact reference.
Dane's evil twin.
Oh, Ninja Brethren.
Hugo Warren.
Hugo Warren, who's been chained to an old sim racing rig, and only let out to jeopardize races with silly names.
Look, I made a pigeon rat. It's easy. Cool boy says, very cool guys, love the stream, love the racing, very great racing graphics, love it guys. So lots of positives in that. Thanks for watching.
I think you're a cool boy with those sort of compliments. While we've got a couple of minutes, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that bell, etc. All the stuff that all the YouTubers say. Hop over onto Facebook, give the Automobilista Supercars Championship page a like, and while you're there, Apex Rear Wing as well, throw us one, greatly appreciated. And if you're finished giving your money to Humble Bundle for a pretty decent bundle of sim racing games by the sound of it.
Should get a chunk of change from $6.76 or whatever it was.
Yeah, so you know, why not flick the rest of that change from that tenner that you've been saving in your PayPal wallet? Trying to relate this to cash doesn't really work when, you know, you're not going to be paying for a Humble Bundle with cash. But anyway, patreon.com/Apex Rear Wing.
Sounds like we're endorsing a scam of some kind.
Yeah. Please go to paymenow.us. I've signed up to something and I just keep getting emails. Anyway, we have got a formation lap.
Yes, no track information, although here's some.
It's incredible. We have control over whether the things... Oh, God. I forgot that I had something open on my phone.
So what you're looking at here is the details of this very short racetrack, the race lap record, which still stands set by Dayne Warren in 2020 of a 51.008. But we're going to go to the formation lap, which Dayne Warren is leading because he set pole position in the recently concluded qualifying sessions. Then we've got Ethan Warren in second place. Had a great start off the first race. Let's see if he can replicate that. Thomas's mum is fit, starts out of third, ahead of Luke Rosella. Then we've got Kurt Stenberg in fifth, the defending champion with the number 1 teammate of Ethan Warren. Then Corey McFarlane, he starts out of 6th place. Colin Warren.
He's the third Warren brother.
No, Hugo is, but Les said get back in your box.
Back in your box, Hugo.
Sean Allen in 8th place. He starts ahead of Zach Baker. Bitter rivals those two. Hans Brunswick inside the top 10 for AAR. Good qualifying from him. Alex Cattle in 11th place for AWG. Dane Liccardo, let's see if he can improve on what was a bit of a torrid first race for him. Turmo starts out of 13th place with David Nenadic behind him. Brapp for Green Top Motorsports in the 970 will start out of 15th place with Benjamin Daly a little bit out of sorts tonight in 16th. Steve Warwick didn't replicate his qualifying heroics from the first race. He's got 17th place with the ever-present Maple Leaf SimSports Tim Horton's car driven by Cameron Parrott in 18th place.
Well done.
And Aidan Sykes will start 19th. Brody Steen joins us after not qualifying. He is in 20th place.
The Stiggy sneaks in right at the very death for the second race, and the revs are rising, the lights and the sirens are going. And we're off, and it looks like a better start for Ethan Warren once again, straight into the lead. And Dayne Warren managing to hold on to that second place. Luke Rosella once again holding on to that third place, and we've got Sean Allen around on our other screen.
Oh no, Sean Allen spinning around, and he's going to drop right to the back
to
join his friend Brody Steen, who's now not last. Meanwhile, back at the front, what a start that was for Dayne Warren, but Ethan's got him somehow, and they all get into each other there. Luke Rosella in the back, so I'm not sure how Dayne Warren ended up losing first after having a better start.
He had a worse start than Ethan Warren. Did I say he had a better start?
Oh, I thought I was watching something else, so I thought you said that Dayne was ahead, so my apologies.
No, Ethan Warren got it off the start like he did on the previous race. We saw it only took 2 laps for Dayne to get that position back, but there is a lot larger gap this time around than there was on the previous race. Ethan Warren managing to hold on to that through the first lap, and there is an absolute gaggle behind Dayne Warren. If he makes a slip, he is going to be losing a few positions.
Oh, they're getting into each other a little bit through turns 1 and 2 there.
Into him. As it looks like Kurt Stenberg down into 20th place. What's happened?
Oh no, Kurt Stenberg.
Our champion is a lap down.
We'll get to the bottom of it, Mad Bird. Keep calling the action.
I will indeed. So Dayne Warren still ahead of this gaggle in second place, chasing down his brother. Looks as if T-Miff and Luke Rosella side by side, but Luke Rosella holding on to that third place for the time being as they come down and into the final corner for the second time.
I think it's a timing glitch for Kurt Stenberg because he still seems to be circulating in that position.
Oh no.
But he's gone back to the pits. He's DNF'd.
DNF. So our first DNF of the night, and it is our championship defender, Kurt Stenberg, on the first lap of the race. That is very, very cruel luck.
Absolutely gutting Kurt Stenberg. Well, so he must have missed a timing beacon or something like that, and his lap didn't count. So we didn't quite see where it happened because he was just circulating. It seemed like in the right position, but for some reason it put him right to the back. So some high-profile people at the back and out of this race. Sean Allen having that spin on the opening lap. Brody Steen starting from the back. Now Kurt Stenberg out of the race as we see a little bit of contact there between Dayne and Ethan Warren. Cool boy in the chat saying that Dayne Warren, that's actually Dayne Warren, and Ethan Warren, are they real race car drivers? Well, I know Ethan and Dayne do like to get out onto the go-kart track a fair bit, but their main thing here is sim racing, and they have done quite a bit at a fairly high level, racing in the real supercar iRacing E-Series.
Putting paid to any rumours that Kurt meant to DNF from the race. We've got FFS in the chat, so...
Which means for fudge's sake. So our condolences to Kurt Stenberg. That's a really just a bad way to start his championship campaign. We did say that his results in Sydney last round were not so bad compared to his defence of his 2019 championship, but it's a bit early to burn your drop round.
It is unfortunate indeed. But back to the current race. So Ethan Warren, once again, it took only 3 laps, I think, for Dayne Warren to retake the lead of the race. and Ethan already a second behind his brother, with Luke Rosella and Team If on board with Team If
Going down the inside.
into turn 4.
That's Ethan Warren just up ahead. There's Dayne Warren, but looks like Team F has got the job done on Luke Rosella. Now, Luke Rosella's best opportunity here is to try and fight back around the outside of turn 5 and position himself on the inside for the final 2 corners.
And it is a very long corner to be around the outside for, but Luke is very good late on the brakes. We saw that last corner of the last lap of the previous race, managing to outbrake Kurt Stenberg.
Oh.
A little bit of a slide for both of them. Very aggressive cutting back from Team If to cover off and defend from Luke Rosella, who has to settle at the moment for that 4th place. Sean Allen recovering up into 12th place so far, so he's making his way back up the field from being as far down as, I think it was 20th at one stage.
Meteoric rise, actually.
Isn't it just?
But and he's there with his teammates in Alex Cattle and Benjamin Dahlia. So Benjamin Dahlia, who's made up positions off the start as well. So there they are. Oh, bit of lock up. Benjamin Dahlia in 11th, who's found 5 positions off the race start. So he'll be pretty pleased with that, I would have thought, after qualifying out of position for him. Alex Cattle inside the top 10. Hans Brunswick has also made up a position. So I guess that's by virtue of, well, also Kurt Stenberg dropping out of the top 10. So actually Hans Brunswick would have lost a position. But
Dane Liccardo, I think, who qualified in 12th. And it's Corey McFarlane dropping down through the field. I think he has made a pit stop, actually, despite the excitement in my voice.
Yeah, so a good start from Dane Liccardo, who had a horror first race. So let's hope he can keep that up. And Corey McFarlane is indeed in the pits.
Hans Brunswick looking like he wants to go down the inside, but Dane Liccardo just having enough pace to hold him off at this stage. Up 5 positions from his start, so very, very nicely done for Dane Liccardo. That's a huge
start for Dane. Yeah.
Not even halfway through the race yet. Chasing after Zach Baker, who's currently up in 6th place. Zach's teammate David Nedich down in 12th, so not quite as bad as the first race, where I think he was last coming out of the first lap. He's managed to stay out of trouble this time around.
A cool boy just saying, makes me think I've seen them on TV on a real supercar weekend. That was in reference to his question as to whether Dane and Ethan were real race car drivers. That would be due to their involvement with the Supercars E-Series. I believe they attended a few races in the garages to do with their tie-in with the teams that they were racing for in the E-Series.
Oh, a little bit of oversteer for Dane Liccardo, but manages to hold on to it. I was just saying, done, getting my PC in 2 months. Would love to join this great league. Check out the Automobilista Supercars Championship Facebook page.
Ooh, a bit of side-by-side going a little bit further down. This is Brody Steen making his way, hopefully past Pratt from his point of view.
A black Mustang and a white Mustang.
Both of them are Mustangs.
One is black and one is white.
Correct.
Oh.
The white one is pursuing the black one.
Isn't it?
Come on, Brody, have Luke off, says Kurt Stenberg. So already a very vocal viewer, Kurt Stenberg, relegated to the status of audience member.
Is that a confirmation then that is indeed Brody Kostecki in the Team If car? So Corey McFarlane having hit down into 19th place. Oof.
Let's come back to this battle that we were talking about quite a bit during the first race. Kurt was right in there, and they're side by side into the pits. How are they doing that? No, they're not.
Absolute best call of your life, Stairs. It's a privilege to be here alongside you. I'm just gonna
fuck that up.
Just gonna give us. It's an absolute pleasure. Incredible.
I thought I saw another car behind him, and I couldn't imagine where Luke had gone. Anyway, Luke has continued on. My apologies. I've done a Dave Amor on that one.
I think it might have been Colin Warwick, because it's
he was behind,
a sort of similarly coloured car to
David Nedich as well.
Incredible. Well, there's a great shot there of all 3 AWG cars line astern.
Yeah, so they're less line astern with the stretching out after the hairpin, but yes, very, very close. Alex Cattle Benjamin Dahlia and Sean Allen all occupying a similar part of the racetrack.
Pretty decent points haul. Oh, as we see, one of the AWGs
Peel off.
was Benjamin Dahlia, I believe.
Yep.
Peel off and into the pits. But yeah, pretty decent. Looks like a pretty decent points return for AWG in general, although they are split across a sort of A and B team.
So Luke Rosella, who's absolutely nowhere near Team If on track at all, because he didn't pit when Team If did.
Correct. He definitely wasn't side by side going into the pits. That'd be incredible. How would they do that? Answer is they didn't. Luke Rosella looking like he's going into the pits.
Yes, now he's pitting.
So we'll get to see. Last time around, he lost quite a bit of time through the pit stops in the first race.
Steve Warwick and Termo are going at it hammer and tongs.
They are. Termo got the inside down this long curving back portion of the track.
Side by side.
But Steve's going to have the inside line into the last corner if he can brake late enough. Oh, very well done there for Termo.
Luke Rosella is on the move, and we're just trying to see if we can pick up where... hang on. Where he
There's
is.
Team If. Yep, he's gone.
Yeah, so Team If is through.
So Luke Rosella once again has lost about 2.5, almost 3 seconds through the pit stop. So
Whoa! On board.
Not sure if he hasn't put enough, if he's put too much fuel in, or maybe Team If is underfueled.
Yeah, Team If, which is short for Thomas's mum, is pretty fit. To answer the question of Coolboy as to why he can't see Brody Kostecki on the leaderboard, we believe that Team If is Brody Kostecki, but he has raced with us on a few different occasions, being friends with some of the guys.
His card does say B Kostecki on it. There it is.
He's in the back of Termo, who's going to make a pit stop. Hopefully he got it slowed down. We've got a bit of assistance into the pit lane there.
This is actually for position. Corey McFarlane on the back of Team If.
Good job from Corey getting that far up, because he was a bit further back. And Ethan Warren. Has Ethan Warren lost quite a few positions?
He's had a very poor pit stop phase. He's come out down in 5th place.
Wow.
4th place once Brody Steen pits. Oh, very deep from both Team If and Corey McFarlane. Ethan Warren manages to sneak up the inside and get that position, but they are now side by side going down the back straight. Not sure if Corey lifted out of that or if Ethan just has a lot more straight line speed.
I think Corey would be very brave to chuck it down the inside of Ethan Warren here. He didn't have enough overlap.
Oh.
Yeah, they're struggling. Who's that coming into the pits?
I believe it's Brody Steen.
Yeah.
Has finally pit. So all of the top 10 have shaken out, I believe.
6 laps to go.
Yeah. It's a very short, we keep saying it's a short track, which means that a 22-lap race really is no time at all. On the lesser side of 20 minutes. We're currently 12 minutes in.
We're currently asking the question, can Team If hold on to that 2nd place? It would make it the only race so far this year that hasn't been Dayne Warren 1, E Warren 2. Don't know why I said the initial for Ethan Warren there instead of the name when I said Dayne and not D.
Is there are there three Warren children whose names start with A, B, and C that we're not familiar with? And then...
Well, we know we've got H Warren.
Oh, yeah, and we've got B, Blair Warren. So was there an A Warren?
Well, we've got...
Was there a...
Their mother is S Warren.
Yeah, but that's skipping quite a few letters the
alphabet. Yeah, but I'm sure we can find some other letters in there.
If there was going to be another child, would it have been, Fred Warren?
Fred?
Well, D, E, F.
Oh, okay. But why not Frank?
Well, I just picked a name that started with F.
Oh, okay.
I'm not married to the idea.
Francine?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If it was a female.
Felipe? That's a good racing driver name.
Felipe Warren.
There's a driver in the Victorian State Series called Ayrton Felipe.
Oh.
And that's the most racing driver name I've ever heard. As we're watching Ethan Warren and Brody Kostecki going side by side through the final corner. Ethan getting a nice little switch back there. I don't know how he managed to stick his nose through there. He hasn't quite got the overlap he needs, though. as Brody Kostecki's driving a very, very wide Holden ZB Commodore.
Ethan Warren managing to hold on to the back as they lap Aiden Sykes.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know if that was inopportune or opportune, but either way, it's allowed Brody Kostecki to try and hold on there.
And he's managed to do it, but Ethan Warren we've seen is very quick.
There is a Bella Warren, Sonia is informing us, so there's your B,
There we
Madbird.
go. So is there an A Warren?
Whoa!
Surely
Inside
somewhere.
of turn 5, there's a bit of door-to-door rubbing. It'll unsettle the car into 6. Kostecki with the inside. Ethan's going to be driven out into the grass. There's not a lot of traction out there, and he's lost a huge number of car lengths.
There is Luke Rosella ready to pounce, and Corey McFarlane actually right on the back of Luke Rosella. So this is an absolutely titanic scrap for the top few positions.
McFarlane losing that position. Colin Warwick's not that far back as well, so if they trip over each other, there might be an opportunity for Colin Warwick to find a few spots. What
was that name our friend and co-commentator Maddie found in, I think it was F3's? Gregoire Saucy.
Gregoire Saucy.
Gregoire Saucy.
He can't drive, but what a name.
What a name.
Matt Dunlop.
Imagine calling Gregoire Saucy wins the race. Saucy wins.
That was a big call, but, you know, Matt Dunlop has said that Gregoire Saucy has the best name in all of motorsports.
I gotta say, I don't disagree. I've not
well,
found
I
one.
challenge you as audience members to find me a better one. And I'm looking forward to the results. So Brody Kostecki holding on here for grim dear life. We've switched to calling him Brody Kostecki instead of Team If because we're fairly certain at this point.
Corey McFarlane's lost a lot of time. Sorry to cut across you there against Luke Rosella. He was right on the back of him.
Oh, a bit of overlap, bit of a switchback. Better drive there from Ethan. He's going to drive him out to the grass. There's not a lot of space being given. Now he's edging himself clear, and around the outside of turn 5, they'll go side by side, but it's very much the dominant position that Ethan has on the inside. Brody will have a huge amount of difficulty trying to drive around the outside there, but he tries to switch back. Ethan on the curb again, and Brody's able to get up the inside, and they have a little bit of a wiggle. Oh, Ethan, I don't know that he could get as much throttle as he wanted to have there because he was so close to the edge of the track. He had to put in some steering angle, but they've managed to go side by side for about 2 or 3 corners now, and it's going to be Brody with the inside line into the hairpin, but it's Ethan Warren with his nose marginally in front, down to the hairpin. Ethan clear by a nose, but down the inside, Brody Kostecki's going to chuck it. They're going to go very, very high, and that's going to allow Brody Kostecki to get up the inside and block the route out the exit.
Yep. Just got a little bit tail happy coming out of the hairpin and fell in behind Team If or Brody Kostecki. Brody Kostecki now side by side with Ethan Warren down into the last corner. Little bumper doors as they go in. Brody's going to try to brake late and get the position done. Ethan Warren out onto the curbing once again. Luke Rosella is buying into this battle. There is only 3 laps left in this race as they come across the line.
Look at Luke Rosella's in there as well. It's going to make it a 3-wide battle. Oh, it's a 3-car battle. Luke Rosella, Ethan Warren going side by side. The view from Luke Rosella must be astronomical.
He's got the best seat in the house for this particular battle. You can see it there. Pulls out, does Brody Kostecki to try to go around the outside.
Oh,
they touch.
Oh, Luke's going to have a go here. Brody
Sneaks up the inside.
Oh, didn't quite have enough. I thought Brody Kostecki was going to get propped up on the exit there, but Ethan Warren just kind of bolted, and so it wasn't a problem. Wow. I'm informed by Levi McMillan, but there's a driver called Turbo Asahi.
That is pretty excellent.
That is. Back to the battle at hand.
Ethan Warren wide and on the grass. Ethan Warren wide and on the grass. So Luke Rosella and Team If / Brody Kostecki are now the 2 fighting over the 3rd position on the podium. Oh, and there's contact. Luke Rosella into the back of Brody Kostecki, but it looks as if...
No harm, no foul.
No harm, no foul.
As we watch this replay. So that was Ethan Warren dropping those 2 spots. We're going to go back to the live pictures here on board here. Luke Rosella, Ethan Warren, Brody Kostecki. Not in that order at all. Brody Kostecki leads Luke Rosella, and... well, this battle over the 2nd spot on the podium is so hot that Ethan Warren is off the podium at this stage.
2nd and 3rd steps of the podium currently in question, and it would be the first time this season that we haven't had 2 Warrens on the podium if it stays the way it is at the moment. But with these two going side by side into the last corner, who knows how they're going to come out.
They're going to have each other off here.
They managed to both keep it on the black stuff. Very well done.
Oh, a moment there for Ethan. He was trying to take advantage of these two battling each other. God, the bump over that start-finish straight is intense.
I feel like they're all soaring at the wheel on a constant basis here as they come out and head on down towards turn 4. And that was not an opportune camera angle. They are bumper to bumper. Oh! And
Wow.
Luke Rosella very nearly coming out into...
There's a lock-up from Kostecki.
Oh.
He's going to sail wide and he's going to escort Rosella with him. And Ethan Warren sweeps up the inside, takes them both.
Last lap of the race.
How did that happen?
The final corner just left to go for these three drivers. Ethan Warren somehow emerges back on the second step of the podium.
Dayne Warren wins the race. Back to the paddle.
Oh, as Brody Kostecki tries to go down the inside, Ethan Warren covers it off. He is not going to let him sneak up the inside. Luke Rosella trying to push through.
Served himself.
And it is going to end the way that it stands.
Oh.
Ethan Warren.
Oh!
Brody Kostecki from Luke Rosella, who went backwards across the line. My goodness. Corey McFarlane comes home in 5th. Colin Warwick in 6th. Zach Baker 7th. Hans Brunswick is going to come home in 8th.
We've ended up with the same first two that we've had in all of the races so far this year, but my goodness,
It was a very dramatic way to get there.
A different method of getting there, yes. As they say, baking is a science and cooking is an art form, and I would liken motorsport to an art form in the same way.
Go Thomas Ho. I'm not sure that was a typo from Brad Newman saying, ho Thomas Mum, and then he's corrected it to go. I don't think it's the actual SVG to answer the question there. I had a look. The channel does have 12,000 subscribers, so, you know, possible, but it seemed to be, it wasn't a very official SVG channel if it is.
Who knows? Let's celebrate our winner here, Dayne Warren. He didn't get much airtime because of the shenanigans going on behind him, and I mean, who can blame us? Ethan Warren, Brody Kostecki and Luke Rosella had an absolute ding-dong of a battle.
I don't think he'd begrudge us paying attention to that paddle behind him, because my goodness.
Now, did he get, let's see, fastest lap 51.035, I think he... No, he missed out. He missed out on the lap record by 7 milliseconds. So, gutting, but I don't think he'll lose sleep over it.
I don't think he'll be too upset.
Wow.
My goodness. Oh, I'm still sort of catching my breath from those last couple of lap stairs.
Yeah, I don't blame you. not even a little bit.
Well, it'd be quite cruel of you to blame me, so I appreciate that.
You're not being blamed.
Excellent. My goodness.
So I
My
guess
golly gosh.
To recap, so it was in the end it was about a 5-second victory for Dayne Warren.
Felt like it was more than that.
I would be surprised. I'm just going to see if that's updated.
I feel like he might have lifted off towards the end to sort of try to keep an eye on that battle behind him in his rearview mirror, because they would have been taking time off one another in leaps and bounds, or whatever the opposite of leaps and bounds is.
Yeah, I did see a little bit of celebrating from him in the end. That's the qualifying session. I'm looking for the... No, that's not the qualifying session. Those gaps don't look right. Oh, that's best lap gap. Oh. Yeah, so it was in the end a 4.2 second win for Dayne Warren over Ethan Warren. No, that's the first race. Apologies.
That is the first race, because it definitely wasn't 25 seconds between Luke Rosella and Ethan Warren. And Luke Rosella wasn't even on the podium.
While we wait for some of our winners...
Somehow the way that Live Races has written Thomas's mum is fit is even funnier than it actually is.
Yes, because it writes apos instead of having an apostrophe.
Thomas apos mum is fit. Oh my goodness.
There we go. Some of our drivers filtering in, Madbird. Who do you want to have a chat to first?
I'll have a chat to our mate Luke Rosella.
We'll just check if the mics are working first. We had this issue in the previous race, so who do we want to start with?
So Luke, sound off, matey. Are you with us?
All right, hang on. Let me just press a few buttons, and then we'll see if we can get you.
Make sure that we've got you back. Won't be a second, matey.
Exactly. So, Madbird, just say some things while I fix that up.
So, So an incredible race, two incredible races for Luke Rosella, managing to get third place at the death in the first race. Congratulations on your third place finish in the first race, mate, and a very nearly podium finish in the second.
Yeah, no, it was pretty hectic all night. Just the competition this year is just unbelievable. You can see that with the times of qualifying. It's so close, so you really got to be on it. But yeah, it was good fun. Didn't expect the undercut in both races to be that strong, so I was trying to extend my stints a little bit, but didn't really work. I lost a couple of seconds each time in each race, so wasn't really ideal. But it was some pretty fun battles towards the end, especially the last race. But I certainly needed a podium and a fourth place, considering I had an absolute shocker in the first round. So it's good.
Definitely, and as you say, absolutely titanic battle between yourself, Thomas's mum is fit, and Ethan Warren at the end of that second race. So just nothing but bumper to bumper action there between you three absolute custodians of the sport. And for a second, it looked like you were going to come home in second place, and then that hairpin seems to be seems to pull a lot of people unstuck.
Yeah, didn't really know what was going to happen all through that battle. You're right. I didn't really expect to catch Ethan and Brody. I thought it was too big of a gap, but they, of course, started boxing on. So, caught up to them with like 3 laps to go and joined in the battle. And tried my best to try to pit both of them. But bit of argy-bargy, and it was good fun. And happy to get 4th place, which is, like I said before, pretty good for the championship. We'll see what we can do for the rest of the season.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, mate. Congratulations on a 3rd and a 4th. Very, very good points returns. Stairs, who have you got with you?
So we've got the 2 Warren brothers. We'll start with Ethan, and he finished 2nd in both races, but we mentioned this, Mad Bird, it was a very different route to 2nd on those 2 occasions. Ethan, how was that battle from your perspective?
It was pretty intense. I can't remember what happened. Is this the last battle?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Side by side, switching positions with 2 other guys.
Brody got a massive undercut on me, which I wasn't expecting that, to be honest. So when he came out in front, I just tried my best to catch him on the new tyres, but obviously he's great at defending. So it was a great battle.
Absolutely, and also your starts have to be mentioned. You were pretty quick off the line on both occasions.
Yeah, it was pretty surprising, to be honest. I know Dayne got 2 bad starts, but I was happy with both mine, and didn't really help me in the end because I just fell back anyway. But that's all part of it.
Good points for the championship as well. You've not finished off the podium. In fact, I don't think you've finished out of 2nd place for the whole championship so far.
Yeah, it's great consistency, obviously, and great to get 2 podiums. And it'd be good to get a few first place, but that's a bit tricky at the moment because it's too much of a gap to catch Dayne.
Absolutely. Well, we know how hard it is to beat Dayne, but Ethan, congratulations on a strong night once again.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
And Madbird, let's have a chat to our race winner.
Absolutely. Dayne, congratulations. Another 2 perfect races, 4 wins in a row on the hop. Didn't quite manage to hit your qualifying or race lap records, although you got mighty close, which probably is the only blemish on your night, if you can call it that. But a fantastic night for yourself, and what can be said, you seem to be in a sort of a class of your own, didn't you?
I couldn't really complain about the car all night, really. For some reason, it was really good on tyres in the first race, so it was just easy to drive. So that's pretty good. What do you have the race and lap records there, or the racing call?
Well, we believe that the race lap record from 2020 was a 51.028, which you missed out on by a very, very small, like 7 milliseconds.
That's very disappointing.
And the qualifying record in 2020 was a 50.815, and I believe in the first race you got a 50.830.
So 15 hundredths of a second.
So you're not far off that at all.
It's surprising because obviously this year on a completely different tyre, I think, from when I set the record. So yeah, it's just surprising to hear that they're so similar, even though they drive completely differently. So yeah, that was good. The night was fun anyway. Obviously, I wish I could have gotten involved in that battle at the end, but yeah, maybe next time.
As a testament to your consistency, I reckon. And we saw you just sort of had both races. Ethan managed to get the jump on you at the start and take the lead. Only took a couple of laps for you to make your way back past him. But was that just the gearing wasn't aimed for the starts, or was there an issue, or what was going on?
Well, in the first race I tried starting in second, which did not work. I went backwards. And in the second race I just I tried first and then didn't go anywhere either, so I have literally no idea how to start the car. I'm going to have to do some research before next round, I think.
That's good. Usually you want to turn the key, I think, to begin with.
Yeah, it's a good start, yeah.
There's probably a button you need to push, I'm not sure. But regardless, not really too much to put against your name other than your 2 more wins for this season. So congratulations, Dayne, on another excellent night.
Yep, thanks lots.
Well, Stairs.
Well, that was fantastic night of action, and as always, a big thanks to our podium sitters for joining us. We didn't have Thomas's mum is fit join us. He was the podium sitter.
It's a shame. I think we've got confirmation now that it definitely was Brody Kostecki, but my goodness, what a pseudonym.
Yes, anyway, moving on from that, it was a fantastic night of racing. Great to have a chat, to hear some of the war stories. Definitely quite a few untold stories for the for tonight that I look forward to hearing over the next couple of weeks, but that is all she wrote for tonight. Next round, we head for the first time in 2 years to Albert Park for the 3rd round of the Automobilista Supercars Championship. It's going to be fantastic to get back there. So long ago that you'd forgotten that we ever visited Madbird.
Forgot that we visited twice, and I commentated on both of them. So obviously my memory's not as it once was.
Yes, so looking forward to visiting quite a few tracks that we haven't seen for a long time.
Especially Winton.
not a driver's favourite, but I always think it puts on a good show from a spectator's point of view. But nonetheless, Albert Park is next up, and so we will be there for the main game on the 11th of April. That's in 2 weeks' time, and ahead of that, we'll have the Super 2 round on the 4th of April with Kurt Stenberg and Colin Warwick and whoever else is commentating on that one jumping in as well. So we look very much forward to those, and well, that's pretty much all we need to say tonight.
That's pretty much it. An excellent race. Excellent 2 races, as per usual, from ASC. It was an absolute delight to talk about it with you, Stairs.
All right, well, we'll see you next round. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
Later.